America, they had
Listen,
to learn
Spiritus,
do that
this is
native
so true that even my high school teachers who are white and European taught us about the Tudor period and the medieval period. We knew how they didn't bath. Some of these kings and queens didn't bath for months, bro. These are simple concepts
Yeah,
of
bro,
hygiene.
but that was in England. That was in England. That
That's
wasn't in
England.
other countries.
I'm talking about England. I'm talking about Queen Elizabeth, King Henry. Like this is before the Renaissance, the spark. No, this is after the Renaissance. It's the spark of civilization, right? Surely it should be perfect, right? I'm gonna give him a reckoning. He doesn't know. He's not ready. He's not ready. I know my history. I studied my history. He's not ready. He's not ready.
Get his
Okay,
ass.
find us a tribe. Find us a tribe of these white people that's fittest. These fit white people that get their ass beat and everything. Find us a tribe that's survival of the fittest.
They fit.
I'm telling you, man,
What do
that
you?
K guy's a dumbass, man. So ignorant, and he tries to act so snobby, like speaking all posh. People that are not actually smart. They try and pretend that they're intelligent by speaking in posh tones. It's like
Well,
Yo,
let me let me tell you something.
do y'all understand how different we are and how alike they is? They all got the same answers. Like every one of us got something different to bring to the table. They all got the same answers all across the board. Yo, that's weird.
It is weird, man.
It's
The
almost
brainwash,
like a
bro.
robot, a computer
That's
program.
It's a
because
script, bro. It's a script.
disagree on shit, man. They all agree on the same shit.
Bro,
All of us will
it's a
have a straight
hive.
up argument. All of us will straight up have an argument of the smallest, dumbest shit, and they just be computer programs.
Bro, do you see how I brought up the nature thing and man just slid it away? I brought up the nature thing and he didn't even address it. Oh my gosh. There's so many points he didn't address. He's very good at evading. Very good at evading. And then his buddy Liam over there, he doesn't say anything. The dumbass freaking footy guy will just sit there and say, "Let him speak. Let him speak. No. Let him speak." And he won't contribute because he's a layman British guy who knows nothing about history. He just wants to boost his white buddies, even though he doesn't know anything. I'm tired of that, man. I'm here today. You know what, Amazon? I had South Africa, and I said, you know what, I'm getting in there, bro. I had a lot of garbage.
Hey, listen, man. I've been waiting on everybody, man. You know
I'm getting in there, bro. I ain't going anywhere, bro. We're sorting this out today, right now. I'm gonna get I'm getting my books ready. I'm getting my books ready.
They probably back there regrouping. You know what I'm saying? Terrence is down.
Of course they are, bro. Why do you think they're taking so long to get in here?
Yeah,
yeah, bro. Bring Terrence. Bring Terrence.
Y'all know
Spurgeon, you're one of us anyway, bro. You're not with them, right?
all them.
I'm
Y'all know
not.
all them.
I'm like I'm.
Are you a nigga, Spiritus?
Fair to say, he's Grecian.
He's a nigga.
Hey, look, he the only one that do not claim to be one of them, though.
That's all right, though, man. I respect that.
I'm not one of. I'm my Dacians. That's what I.
Yeah, see, he said
we're gonna straighten this out today. Let me get my books ready.
They don't have no names like that to give us, Spiritus. They tell us all this new shit.
Bro, no, Amazon, we don't even need to go to the Dark Ages, G. All we need to do is go to when the Greeks first stepped foot on Africa. When the Hellenist period. Oh man. Oof. We don't even need to go that close. Fam, we could go so far. Because he claims they were so intelligent. Oh my gosh. They don't even know, man.
Bro, they were.
Bro.
Why are you saying they weren't intelligent?
Their alphabet, the Greek, oh my gosh, the Greek alphabet, bro, is full on Hebraic and Kemet, and it's all of us, man. It's all our stuff, man. They took everything,
they were using pictographs before they developed that alphabet they have now. They were using ancient pictures and symbols too.
How did the Greek
cave paintings? While we were making hieroglyphics, they were doing cave paintings.
So what? What are you talking about? Wait a minute.
There's a cave painting of a spear and a mammoth. We hunted him. Ooh.
You crazy as hell. Who the hell is that?
And then we got massive hieroglyphs, pyramids. We got everything. And these guys got small little cave paintings with one color. Not even a multiple color palette. One color.
You crazy.
You know,
I'm telling you, man. Bro, I was so cringy. I was cringing so hard.
You're saying that the Greeks stole everything from the Africans, like literally everything, and that's not true, and you know it.
Bro, as soon as they stepped foot into northern The Northern Kingdom, bro. You don't even know how much. Oh my gosh. We're talking chemistry. We're talking
Okay, so they were more powerful than you then.
physics. Pardon?
More powerful than the Africans then, if they managed to steal all that
No,
shit.
it wasn't about power. It was about manipulation. They were
Right.
guided by evil, and like Sarah mentioned, they were more interested in material wealth than the human experience or the human caring, for another brother.
That is
Right.
because Western people are more up in their heads intellectually, right?
No,
Whereas
it's because they're more savage. They
are
have
more.
less human emotion.
No. Well,
They're not for real human, man. Let's keep it real, man. We're trying to avoid the bullshit, man. They're not for human, man.
Think about this, Spiritus. Look at war veterans,
Africa.
right? They've been fighting their whole lives. As soon as they leave the war,
because I didn't
they're
want
not
the guy to
normal.
kill
They
us.
won't be normal, bro. They'll be walking around,
They're
looking
more
around all the time.
and stuff. Well, they're more closer to nature, the Africans. Well, if you are an intellectual, you're more up in your head, so of course you'll have
No, bro.
less.
We're talking about, bro. Think about this, yeah. Look at war veterans. They spend 20, 30 years of their life on the field shooting, killing every single day, surviving. And then they come back to the normal civilization where you're supposed to love everybody and just live a normal life. They're not going to be able to do that. They're always going to be
Of
thinking,
course not.
oh, I'm going to have to.
Of course
So this is the same thing that the European, because imagine cold climates, have to kill, have to eat, have to kill, have to eat every single day. What they're going to do when they.
Listen, y'all, they ain't come from no cold climate, man. That's some bullshit. We gotta stop accepting that. They didn't come from that.
No, they didn't.
They didn't. They more closer to a war. They more closer to come out of the water than the cold. You know what I'm saying?
Wait,
That's
what?
what.
I'm gonna be right back.
They more closer to that. They ain't come from the cold, man.
Whoa.
They put that shit in their head, man. Ain't no proof for that. Ain't no proof.
Well, they do that so you think that if you're in a cold climate for extended periods of time, you'll turn white.
Right. Then that means, and then by that logic, that means if you go to a hot climate, you're gonna turn black.
Bro, do you guys think this? Do you guys think they're still in the other hangout? Because look, we're the only ones in here, the only blacks in here.
Yeah, but see, because you gotta reverse engineer the logic. So if I go to cold and I'm gonna turn white, then that means if I go to hot, I'm gonna turn black. So you got to be able to reverse engineer it. This shit doesn't work in reverse. So the argument is not really legit. You see what I'm saying? It make normal common everyday sense, but when you reverse engineer it, how the fuck I'm gonna go? There were case, you know what I'm saying? I would go to Europe, West Coast, turn white, and then come back and turn black. Because you have to be able to go both ways. Where's there's a up, there's a down.
Yeah, of course, bro. But I'm Isaiah. I don't think those guys have moved, bro. I think they're still there. Like, we're the only blacks over here, bro.
That's all good. What's the name? Damn.
They don't want that word.
We live. Yeah, look. Hey, check this out, right? So you'll see the
shit,
title, right? Yeah, we live. Look, I changed it. I took the title as Underground Kings, right? Because that's what we is, man. We've been in the underground in Google in the Hangouts for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna bring the real kings out to the forefront. People that's really got information, and the people that ain't got no information, they gonna get exposed, bro. Just like they, you know what I'm saying? So we've been doing. So we just gonna keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Keep the live stream going. Keep the chat open for whoever want to get in here. You know what I'm saying? 24/7.
He's very too.
Hey, Data Dogs.
Bro, I just want to know why those guys are so scared, bro. They need to bring their ass over here now.
Hold on. Data Dogs, are you Ecclesiasticus?
I don't even know what that is, fam. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I thought you might have been.
Ecclesiasticus, my uncle, bro. That's my uncle.
Is it your uncle for real?
Nah. It's day one still. Like, he told me a lot of stuff about the Bible.
Okay. So, but nah, man, I need somebody else. I know Lotus got a laptop, don't he?
Yeah.
I'm on the computer.
Lois, how you doing, bro?
Cool. I need some moderators and shit, man, to help me keep this chat.
Me hit it. What's up, bro?
Bro, I feel like we could expose a lot of motherfuckers if we just keep these calls going like this, these chats open. You know what I'm saying? Just on a 24-hour live. But you see, like it's already done started separating the wheat from the tares because everybody knows. Listen, we be on these calls together every single day. So and all of them still sitting back there on separate calls. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
if you bring Terrence here and Liam, it will get interesting.
They don't want to come, Spiritus. We put the link in the other chat, bro. They're staying there, like for some weird reason. For some weird reason, they're still in that chat.
Nah, they gotta regroup, man. They gotta figure it out.
Of course, they're obviously talking about this.
Hey, but y'all
also
also
go in there right now.
But y'all also gotta be careful though, man. Them people are very suicidal too, man. So if we mess around and click something, they go kill themselves. We gonna get in trouble for it.
Hey, they're not gonna kill themselves. Come on.
Hey, hold on.
We don't know that, man. I mean, if you dig too much, if you dig too much,
so some conversations should be private, fam. Oh, that's all I'm saying.
yeah, that's why I ain't trying to dig too much.
Like, if we start talking about homosexuality and all that, we can't be putting this on YouTube, fam, because we're gonna get strikes, we're gonna get fired. So allow that stuff still.
But just keep that in mind, y'all, because I think it's a couple young people on here, and I know y'all don't care. Y'all probably get off on that shit, but I don't want to see nothing like that.
Wait, what? Hey, chill.
Look, he must be one of them. See, he must be one of them. Look.
But get me frustrated.
Yeah, so kind of be careful.
Bro, I'm gonna go and spy and see what they're doing.
They hate Claim.
Now, Claim was here. He'll be cussing everyone out, man. You dummy, you clown, you fool.
Dummy.
But see, the thing is about it is you gotta when they do their logic, you gotta be able to reverse engineer their logic. They can't handle that because it makes sense going forward, but when you reverse engineer it, it don't work. Just like the oh yeah, when you go to cold, we turn white, Henry. But then what happens when you turn hot?
Why do you have to reverse engineer it and just, I mean, instead of doing that, just combat their arguments logically?
Well, I'm saying,
I'm
saying, but you have to ask them what happens when you get into a white climate, so that way they can actually absorb the information versus you looking like a argumentative African. You know what I'm saying?
They don't probably know either because they're not like biologists and geneticists and all that shit.
Yeah, so but if I sit here and tell you,
don't know either.
If I tell you, okay, well, if you drink this, you're gonna get tall, then you should know if you don't drink it, you're gonna stay the same. So it's logic. So if I say, well, you go to Europe, you're gonna turn right, then obviously, well, if you go to Africa, you're gonna turn black. So it's like where the hell?
You're not gonna turn like on the spot, like spontaneous, right? It's gonna take generations and generations.
Right, but there has been generation. There's been thousands of years.
More than thousands. Tens.
Homie, what's up, bro?
Right.
Is homie here?
Yeah, my G. That's my dog. That's my dog.
Homie getting here. What's up?
Homie's another underground king. You know what I'm saying? When they don't really want to come up in here and fuck a homie at all. I already know that. Yo, Pastor Muppets, what's good, man? What's good, Pastor? Appreciate you coming out. I see you earlier. Duck your head in.
Pastor is here. Oh.
Pastor Muppets.
Hi, my name is Pastor, and I'm a devout atheist. There is no God.
And I'll get ready for his
I laugh like a creep and talk chewing my microphone because I have no friends. I live in my mother's basement. Pastor once told me that he only showers when he leaves the house.
She.
Oh.
Which is obviously very rare.
You was a cave these days. Shit.
I was a king, bro. I swear to God.
He was in the Caucasus Mountains and shit.
I mean goddamn blueberry muffins. Shit.
Man, that's one of them right there. Y'all better be careful.
That's a goddamn muffin. This is a white person muffin.
He going to bathroom off himself. Somebody gonna get in trouble.
Bro, you know this is one of them white people muffins that you just mix in the goddamn bowl, right? This ain't one of them real muffins. This just goddamn white people muffins. Don't worry about this bullshit. I'm sorry that I disrespected y'all by showing this shit in the presence of my brothers.
Man, I'm gonna catch y'all out later, man, because this motherfucker killed himself. I don't want no part of it, y'all. All right,
it's a goddamn blueberry muffin, dude.
Nah, man, it's homie, man.
Nah, homie's cool, bro. He's a comedian.
Nah, he left for real. Look, he left
it's
for
a blueberry muffin, bro.
What the fuck is my Canadian?
Bro left for real.
Bro, it's a blueberry muffin, cuz.
Homie, man, why you making my people fall out?
So, Terrence, did you regroup?
Muffin,
did you regroup with Kay, Terrence? Did you regroup?
Terrence, let's smash these kings.
Did you re-strategize? Did you find out a new plan? How do we get these? How do we get these Negroes? Huh?
We need some sources.
I went to get some chicken, man.
Oh, okay. That's ironic. That's ironic.
I thought you wanted to get some watermelon, bro.
Want to get some watermelon?
Hey,
Let me ask though, what kind of chicken spots y'all got in motherfucking England? What kind of chicken spots is it?
Man.
Peri spice, Nando spice. Yeah, you know it, Terrence. You like Nando's?
Yeah, man, all that stuff. I like
That's
spicy
what it
food
is.
as well. So.
brother, let me tell you some real shit.
Nando's is the best in the UK.
Right? 5-10 minutes ago,
Nando's is the best chicken restaurant in the UK. That's a fact.
Bro,
I got a
I'm
little
telling you,
mini
real
Nando's
shit.
at the end of my road, so it's all good, man.
But this is some real shit. Spiritus, you know how I was
What's
eating on the
your
blueberry.
favorite sauce? Lemon and herb, or like medium?
Lemon and herb
what-
all day, man.
It's not waiting.
I'm starting to like the spicy stuff now. Like I tried like a medium and stuff. It's not that bad, you know. It's calm. Like
Yo,
it's not that bad.
You're a brave soul.
Yeah. Yeah,
I've never tried the extra hot though. Nah, I'll never do that.
These motherfuckers are talking. Can't hear you.
Lips off.
Well, fuck the other motherfuckers. We haven't come. You know how I got down on the watermelon earlier, right?
Yeah.
Well, after
Do you
that,
swallow the seeds, homie?
hell yeah.
Bro, you can grow plants in your liver, bro. Do you know
No,
that?
I chew them up. I chew them up into different pieces before I swallow.
That can't happen.
I could never swallow seeds, man. I just spit them out, man.
Well, that's something your mother told you when you were 6.
Is there any health benefits of eating seeds?
Well, actually, they have a lot of protein in them and fiber, I think.
Okay.
I don't swallow the whole seed. I chew it up so I actually digest it properly. But let me finish my goddamn story. I was getting down on... Oh, by the way, nice to see you, Brother Tion. How you doing? Anyway,
Buy me
all right,
some
so I was getting down on the watermelon, right? I was fucking getting down on that goddamn watermelon. And then I went in my fucking refrigerator and I found some extra crispy KFC and a cup of gravy. And I was like, ooh. And I put that bitch in the toaster oven. I put the chicken in the toaster oven because I don't fuck with the microwave. I put the gravy in the microwave. I'm cooking the shit up. I'm getting the shit going. I'm listening to Wu-Tang while I'm doing it. Keep in mind, I'm drinking Hennessy. And then I grabbed. It's a fucking drum leg. I grab it. I slap it in the goddamn sauce, and then I hang it up beside my head like this, like I'm a king, and eat it. And I'll rip it and sling the fucking gravy all over my wall. It's fucking heroic. That's how you fucking eat. God damn it.
So you ate watermelon before eating chicken. Surely wouldn't you eat that after?
You eat it during the consumption of fried chicken for KFC.
Because a chicken's a savory. You'd rather eat a savory first and then the dessert or fruit after.
No, thank you, sir. Could the KFC chicken ain't very savory.
I have chicken. I'm not gonna have any room left for watermelon when I get done.
Exactly. And like it was gonna mess up the taste as well. Why would I do that?
Bruh, that's stupid as fuck. No offense, bro.
1, 2, 3,
I mean,
4,
that's your choice. I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people dip their fries in milkshake. So
wait, you know what I dip my fries in?
Drinking all your vodka. Ooh,
I dip my fries in hot honey mustard, which is honey mustard with hot sauce in it.
Oh, that probably tastes nice.
Oh, Zulu, how are South
Bro,
Africa doing in the
you
world?
guys got Zaxby's.
Well, South
over there.
Africa's doing very well. We're dominating our country.
Well, how you
Hey,
doing in the World
brother.
Cup?
Hey, brother. Do y'all have a
country.
Zaxby's over there?
Zulu.
Hold up, bro. Do y'all have
Zulu.
Zaxby's over there?
We built this city.
We built this city on rock and roll.
Black people like rock and roll.
Oh man, guys, I don't want to do this with you, Terrence. We really tried this the other day. It didn't work out. Let's not ruin this guy's. Let's not ruin this guy's chat. Let's not ruin Amazon's live hangout. Okay.
Zulu, you do realise, yeah?
You're not gonna bait me into a conversation.
Listen, 1 second. You do realise, yeah, that the 10% of South Africans
I
that are
don't
white,
like
yeah, would dominate and are more strategic than the black South Africans. So if they ever did try it, your people would get fucked up, man.
If they ever did. What do you mean if they ever did? We are doing it now. We've been doing it. We've been doing it. Do you know how many people have died? Not that I want that to happen.
What women and
Not
children?
that I want that to happen. No, men. who have
They don't
shotguns
realise it. They
shooting
don't
at
Women and
us.
children. Women and
Listen,
children.
understand about
listen.
warfare, Zulu.
Listen,
They don't
what this is
understand.
this is a problem with a lot of people that watch the media. They're ignorant on a lot of things. They don't have contact with people in
So,
those areas.
do
They
you know
don't.
how
They've never
many?
been.
Shit on the
They've never been to South Africa. So what they are doing is, oh, my white brothers are in trouble. Let me back them up without knowing any of the context, any of the history, his
These people
history,
have
right?
militias, man. They have
Without
one of the
knowing
biggest.
anything.
Listen, one second.
We
They
don't
have
know
one of,
anything.
let me say one thing. Yeah, they have one of the biggest, non-legal armies. Yeah, one of the biggest militias in the world.
Yeah,
Yeah,
non-legal
these
armies.
people are
Yeah.
organised, my friend. They're not
They
So
will
stupid.
layman,
fucking
so
ruin your
layman.
shit,
You
bro.
do. Oh, they're so organized. Why did they hire Israeli special
I don't
forces
think
to
you
help
understand. I
them?
Because
think
they
you're
got the
being
money.
ignorant.
Why did they? If they're so powerful, why did they have to hire a special force Israeli at that to come and help them? Because they
They
were
need all the
crying,
help they can
"Oh,
get. They're only like
we
what
don't have anywhere
Israeli
to
special
go. They're
forces are like the
shooting
best
us.
5
special
They're
forces
million
out there.
shooting
versus
us.
what
We
50
don't have
million.
anywhere to go. They're shooting us. Oh, we need your help, white brothers, and sisters. Let's kill these bloody monkeys. Come and help us.
Do you
Oh."
think it's
Call them
good that? Do you think
monkeys.
it's good that they're killing the white people? Do you?
Of course he does. He loves
No, I
it.
don't.
He
I
loves
know.
So why
I
it.
you
just
both
told you.
for
I
it like
just
that?
told you. If you
Why
weren't
you both
listening,
for
I'm a
it, bro?
Christian, and death is never the way.
Nah,
Diplomatically,
you
and
chat
Terence, you've
shit.
heard me say this to you. Diplomatically is the best way.
You are
I've
only
heard you.
Christian.
I know what you
Diplomatically,
think about white people. You don't
Yeah,
have to hide it from me, bro.
Terence, didn't I not tell you the other day I don't want them to die? Did I not tell you that?
Zulu
Be
is an
honest. Don't
extremist, man.
lie.
Zulu is an
Bro.
extremist, man.
I told you that, and I backed you up, and I said, yeah, they shouldn't be killing them. I told you, but does not give an excuse for them to keep that land? There's
It's
no
their land.
excuse.
Yeah, but that's not your. The black people weren't there.
Yeah, but I
They
thought
weren't in
all
South
humans come
Africa.
from Africa,
Are
innit?
you
So it's their
stupid?
land, innit?
They
That
weren't
was
in
their
South
land.
Africa.
Yeah, I mean, it became, a stolen land after the blood
No,
and
there was no
bones,
one's
they
land.
trod on.
That was no one's
After all the
land.
bodies they trod on, yeah,
That was
maybe.
no one's
I don't
land.
know.
Are you
You
that
know,
stupid?
after all the bones and blood they trod on, I mean,
Oh my
maybe. I
gosh,
don't know.
bro.
I mean, that's what you Eurasians do with every civilization. Look at the Native Americans. They
We
Oh,
barely
dominate.
exist.
come on. Don't start
They
going on a
barely,
tangent.
they,
Come
they
on.
barely exist anymore.
We
So
dominate. That's
no,
what we
no,
do.
no, no.
That's what
You
You
we do.
white
go against
devil
nature.
Dominate.
bastards. You white devil
The
Dominate.
the global warming is because of you guys coming in with your
What?
crude oil and your carbon emissions.
What?
You
Nature's
Bro,
white
collapse.
devil bastards. White
you
devil
know,
Nations
Did you just
collapse
say
is because
global
of
warming is because
you.
of white people? Are you
You
that
would rather have
stupid?
people running around
Are
with
you that
spears and
fucking
shields
hey,
that are
stupid?
bro,
living
do
in
you
accordance
Absolute
to
think
nature.
retard.
think
An
white
absolute
people are bad?
retard.
Bro, do you know what would happen if like a volcano erupted, yeah? Like one of the biggest ones, you got one like by Japan. Do you know
This
what would
guy
happen?
just said the white people are because of cause of global warming.
Oh my
Unbelievable.
god.
Unbelievable.
Okay,
Fucking
you're
What a
gonna.
retard.
ridiculous.
So this is the problem.
What a retard, man.
This is the
If South
problem, right,
Africa's
with the
that great, why don't
Eurasian,
you go
right?
back to South Africa?
What they will also do is hear this, guys. What they will also do is
Promoting
they will
birth
look at
death,
something so
man.
tragic, and because they're so obsessed with material wealth, they will say, "Look what great benefits
Who's you
colonization brought to
people?
you." But why are you?
Who's those lot?
Okay, you're acknowledging
White
the
people.
technological or
Are you talk?
material benefits
Are you
of
talking about white
colonization,
people?
but you're not acknowledging what it took to get that
Are you
colonized
talking about white people?
civilization.
Shalom, brother Yashar.
You're
Shalom.
ignoring the depth and the value of human life over material wealth, and this is why you people are gonna end this planet.
Are you talking
The way
about
it's
What?
white
going.
Hey,
people?
where the fuck are you getting this shit
Are
from, you
you?
nut
Are you?
job?
Do you know you people? You people? You mean white people? Yeah.
Well, you
What a
say that to me all
fucking
the time. You classify me as you people,
bro.
so I'm gonna do the same thing back to
When
you.
when have I when
Stop
have I ever
blaming
said that?
white people.
I've never said that, man.
Shalom, shalom, Yeshua.
Man.
You've always done that. You've always
So
grouped me,
so you're
you
that's
Stop
people,
on
blaming
you
you.
white
this.
people, man.
Bro.
And
If you can't take it, don't spill it. Simple.
Who
bro,
said that?
just stop blaming white people, man. Like I
Bro, it's
know
not and this is
we
what they
are
do
the
as well.
scapegoat.
They've played the victim
Your
game.
life must be
When
so
you call them
sad.
out, yeah, they play the victim game.
Your
Don't always
life
blame
must be
white
well sad.
people. Oh, why are you always
Bro,
blaming us?
Zulu, man.
Oh,
Do
you're
you live a
blaming us
sheltered
for
life?
you're
fucking
playing a victim game, and it's not
Why are
gonna
you blaming
work,
the
man.
white man? What's the white man ever done to you?
I don't
Other
hate
than
the
give
white
you
man. I've
shelter?
got
apart
many
from
white friends. I just don't like the ones that are ignorant and don't know what's going on, and
Do you like the
ignore what's
black man
going on.
that's ignorant? What about the black man that's ignorant? Do you like him?
Many black people are ignorant. They
You
don't know
like
who they
them?
are. They don't know that they're Hebrews.
Do you
Many
like them?
people are ignorant.
Do you like
Yeah,
them?
I like everybody. I love
Only,
everybody.
but you don't like the white ignorant people. Okay, it makes sense.
You know, my
Oh, it makes
religion,
sense.
my beliefs permit me from hating any single individual. So
Come on. Yeah, oh,
You know, just
God.
because
Listen to
just
yourself.
because we voice listen, just because we voice our opinions on certain actions of certain individuals
listen,
doesn't mean that we just look at everybody from that particular nation as assholes or fuck boys, right?
Well, Zulu
We
seems to
know
be
that there's some good
Terrence, I don't hate
individuals.
you or Jim.
You
I,
see
I
what I'm
would probably
saying?
hang
I
around with
think
you, be
But
cool.
at
Like
the
I
end of
don't,
the
I don't
day,
hate any of you.
we're talking about nations, bro.
Cool, man.
We're not talking about individuals. We're talking about a nation
we were
of
talking
people
about
and how
South.
they
We're
act
talking about South.
and how they treat
We're
people,
talking.
bro. That's
We're
what it's
talking about
about.
South
Jim, I
Africa.
don't hate any of you, bro. I've
We
had
were
nice
talking about.
conversations.
We were
Like
talking
you know what I
about.
mean.
We were talking about South Africa, yeah. And the fact is, yeah, the land that the white people have in South Africa, yeah, was not intimidated, yeah, before the white man got there, isn't it? So
Exactly.
Yes,
black
it
man has
There's
done.
was.
nothing
Yes, it
there.
was.
No,
Yes,
it
it
There's
was.
wasn't.
nothing
Listen,
there, mate.
the Kusan
Oh,
and the
Oh, he won't
Kusan
have
were
it. He won't
there.
have it, Jim. He
The
won't have it.
Khoisan were there. What are you on about?
Bro,
The whole of Cape Town
dude.
was full of San people and
but
Khoisan people.
Cape Town's
What are
not the
you
whole
on
of South
about?
Africa.
Hey, bro,
So what are you
you
on
know where the
about?
Caucasian fucked up at, bro? In South Africa, they fucked up when they decided to say this is the white man's land only. They sectioned off a part of South Africa and said only whites. That's
That
what they
place still
fucked up.
exists.
That's
That
that
place
dumb
still
shit,
exists.
bro.
It's illegal for black
So
people
at the
to,
end of the
live.
day,
It still
everything that's
exists.
happening, right? Everything that's happening to them,
It still
it's
Yeah,
well
yeah, yeah.
deserved because of the
Yeah,
bullshit that
yeah,
they
yeah,
keep
yeah.
doing.
Listen,
What,
listen,
Yeah, it's
listen,
their own
what
fault. We
listen,
get it.
listen. If you
wait.
don't feed the lion, the lion's gonna kill you.
What you're
The
missing out, yeah?
consequences of your
Zulu,
actions
Zulu, Zulu,
is
Zulu.
a
Yeah, but we
result.
can
Is a
say the
result.
same
Let me
about
educate you.
Africans in
Zulu,
Europe.
Zulu,
Oh,
let
here
me
comes
educate you.
Kay, the
Zulu,
sophisticated
Zulu,
wannabe
Zulu,
smart guy.
Zulu. Let
No,
me
no.
educate you for a minute. Let me
What
educate
you're
you for a
saying
minute, yeah?
about white South
Wait,
Africans,
So
K-Slab.
we can
instead of
say about all
spurring random
Africans.
arguments, let's have a sophisticated
Right,
conversation, right? One at a time.
let me say
Okay.
something. Let me say something, right? So in South Africa, yeah, the place where you're on about, yeah, still exists today. It's illegal for black people to live in this particular place. I forget what it's called, but this place here has zero crime rate. Zero crime rate. It's only white people
Yeah.
living there.
Okay, can you
Zero.
tell me what this place is, please? Because I'm South African. I don't think you know anything about South
Yeah,
Africa.
Look,
there is
Bro,
a
well, can
place.
So
we say the
maybe,
same? All right.
so
Wolverhampton.
Can
maybe you
we?
can enlighten me about my own country.
Arania.
Right.
Iran is
Hey
what? Hold on,
guys,
how do you spell that?
yo,
Google
can
it.
we
You'll
say the
find it.
same about Africans living in our
So
countries then?
Irania.
Right? Can we
Okay,
kick out the black people
Irania.
from Europe?
Arania. Okay,
Irania.
Can you
Arania.
let us talk?
Zulu's just a
No,
little kid, man. He did like
I'm
what
trying to have
Zulu,
a
stop
no.
talking
Don't
over
do the little
people.
kid thing. I'm trying to have a
Come on,
conversation
man.
with you.
Stop
Don't do
talking
that.
over
I'm gonna
people.
stop.
We're
I'm gonna
talking.
stop talking to you now. I'm
stop
asking you to
talking to me.
spell. I'm asking you to spell the place that you're
Just go
talking
onto
about. Because I've
Google,
never heard
yeah,
of this.
and put white only South African town, yeah, and it will come up, man. Fucking stop being a little fool, man.
Hey,
You know how
you
to
know
find it.
TN.
You can find it on
Hey,
Google. Easy. Just go on there and you'll find it within seconds.
hey, TN.
Orania.
Wait,
You
can we?
said A. You said it starts with the A. So what are you on about? You can't spell.
Oh, whatever. Okay, what if I don't care? It's irrelevant.
So,
Still,
Go on,
the
Kay.
place exists, yeah.
Kay
So,
Slammer, go on.
so what are you saying about the place? So you
okay,
think
let
it
me see.
exists, yeah?
Because from the images, this looks like it was during apartheid. So let me look if
Hey,
it's
It still
still
exists till
in.
today.
I'm checking if it's still in the same conditions.
hey,
It is.
TN. By your logic, then, can we legitimately kick out all Africans from Britain or any other European country?
No, they cannot because many of them were brought here
Why not?
unjustly. They
Well,
were
it
brought
doesn't
here.
matter.
So
Well,
what do you
many of the
expect?
white South
What do you mean it
Africans were
doesn't
brought
matter?
there.
You took us from
Yeah,
a place that we had no
yeah.
contact
Well,
with you. We didn't know who you was. We didn't care
the
about you.
people
And
in
you
right.
took
Well,
us
look
to where
at
you want. And then you want us to go back.
It's the
That doesn't
same
make
with
any
white
sense.
people. The same with white people.
Listen,
They were
I'm
put there as
British.
prisoners.
I'm
Don't
British now.
flex,
Yeah,
Zulu.
look,
I'm
white
British now.
people, the Australians, white Australians were brought there against their will as prisoners. So it's the same thing as they were both there again. But the point remains: if you're angry at white South Africans, or you have anything against white South Africans, then why shouldn't we be allowed to kick black people out of Britain?
You can't kick black people.
But
First
we
of all,
never brought any black people to
hey, you
Britain.
asked
There
me
were
a
no
question.
slaves.
Would you like me to respond, mate?
Okay,
Okay.
fine.
The problem is black is too monogenous. There's many different ethnic groups that are quote unquote black. Black.
Like, you know what I'm saying though, the double standards.
Just say it. Just say anything that's not.
So I'm just pointing out the double standards. Where if
Yeah,
you're going to
it's
be
double
mad at
standard,
white
Okay.
people in Africa, we're going to be mad
So
at black people in Europe.
I'm not mad.
Well, let's just keep it a buck, right? Britain, London, Europe. That's not what you would consider the Caucasian land. That's just what
You're
they
being
conquered.
they've conquered that land and they have taken over that land the longest.
White people have
So
always been here.
that argument and that
argument for 3 hours already, man.
and that statement that you just made, it doesn't make sense, bro, because at the end of the day, that's not their original land.
Yeah, the white people are indigenous to Britain.
No, they not, bro. So stop
yes,
that
they
shit.
Are.
No, they not.
Britain is like we're a small island.
It's not. We don't even have to argue it, bro. Prove it.
Hey, K Slammer,
here's the proof.
Give me a source. Give me a source that told you this.
Hey, bro, I showed him a source 7 hours ago, bro. I showed him
give me a source, K, that proves what you're talking about.
K, do you know what happened during Google?
Hold on. Zulu.
Nah, bro, he asked me a question, G. Like, I have to answer his question, innit?
Hold on 1 second, Zulu. Hey, K, when Zulu finished answering this question, I'm gonna need you to give me just the source. I don't need you to explain shit. Just give me the source that tells you that the Caucasian man is indigenous to that land.
I'm on my phone, but I can give you a word response.
Bro, all I'm asking for is a source. I'm not asking for anything else.
Has Britain been an island for thousands of years? It has.
That's not what I'm asking you at all, bro. I'm not.
Stop evading, K.
Listen, this is the thing, right?
Exit
Zulu was about to answer a question, right? Zulu was about to answer a question, so I'm gonna let Zulu address this question, right? And all I'm asking for you to do is, as soon as he's done, to bring a source out. That's all.
I can't do that though because I'm on my phone.
You can multitask on your phone unless you've got a garbage phone. Which
bro,
can't multitask.
I can answer that question.
Hey, Zulu, don't do that. Just let him have that excuse, bro.
I can exit the hangout and still talk and go on YouTube and go on something else. Don't lie. You can multitask on your phone.
Britain is a very small island in the
He's not going to find you a source because he has no idea anything about
let him answer to you.
I'm supposed to be answering his question, actually. I'm supposed to be answering his question
right now.
Hey, guys, one at a time.
You asked me why don't the Negroes leave?
Zulu got the mic right now, man. Let Zulu answer the question right now.
One at a time.
Because you asked me why don't the blacks, even though I've already addressed that as misogynist, leave Europe, okay? As a response to the white South Africans leaving South Africa. The problem is they're totally two different scenarios. In one scenario, it's a result of colonization. In another scenario, it's a result of slavery or taking them unjustly to another land. So you're asking people that have been forcibly taken to another land and oh my gosh, you're so impatient. So impatient.
But you're incorrect though. We didn't colonize Ethiopia, yet there's tons of Ethiopians in London. That's why I told you be specific. Black is too monogamous. I said you're talking about the Negroes, and you refuse to answer what I'm saying. So I'm going by the idea of the Negroes leaving Europe. Because that's what you mentioned.
Ethiopia was the last country for
Ethiopians are completely different.
Actually, it wasn't that y'all actually conquered Ethiopia or did anything or actually even colonize it. Actually, y'all made a fucking pact.
Are you seriously trying to suggest
y'all made a pact with the so-called king at the time.
Okay. Are you going to specify which blacks you want to leave? You actually should leave Europe.
Are you going to specify which whites should leave South Africa?
The Dutch, the Portuguese, all of them. The Dutch, the Portuguese.
Here's what you say. The white.
So can you answer my question then? Which specific black?
But let Zulu let him make a point.
If you're saying the white, if you're saying the whites should leave South Africa, then I'm going to say the blacks should leave Europe. When you need to specify the whites.
I just mentioned the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the British.
We know who a black
No. There's no we know. I'm thinking of it of a more monogynous, and this is the term black. Someone with dark skin. There's Ethiopians, Somalis. So you need to specify which group you are talking about.
Someone of African descent.
Okay, so the African Caribbean and the African. Okay.
Correct.
Perfect. So they're the Negroes. Perfect. So you're asking.
Well, I didn't say that.
Negroes, right? Which 50 or I would say 50. Okay, can you specify which place in Africa you are referring to?
People of all of Africa, the continent of Africa, people of African descent. Well, can you refer to what white people? Do you mean the Dutch Boers or the German whites?
Okay, well I can't vouch for the Somalis that come to Europe or the Ethiopians that come to Europe because I'm not one of them. I'm a Negro, so I can only talk for the Negroes.
Yeah, but if you're going to be mad at the whites leaving in South Africa, I'm going to be mad at you coming to my country. So
say me. So ask about my group. Don't be monogamous in general and say blacks because this is such a broad term.
What do you mean by whites in South Africa? Do you mean
because there's only a small group of whites in South Africa, so I can say whites. For you, I would say the Dutch. The Dutches should leave South Africa. There we
What
go.
about
Is
the
that good
other
now?
whites then? What are the British whites in South Africa?
They
The
can go to
Rhodesians.
every
Okay,
single
well
place.
then you can. Well, every single black in Britain can go back to Africa.
But the problem is the
Oh,
situation.
there is no. I don't want to hear it, mate. I don't want to hear all this anti-white bullshit.
You're gonna cover your ears, right? You don't want to hear the
I don't
rebuttal.
care about all this anti-white.
So why should I care about your anti-black
Well,
garbage
you
then?
shouldn't. All I'm saying is, if you're going to be mad,
So then there's
at
no
white
point of this
people in South
conversation if you're not
Africa-
willing to
Let
engage.
the guy talk, man.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, if
Terrence,
you're going to be mad,
stop being his mascot.
Bottom line, I'm a white
TN,
person in Europe.
Just let
If you're
people
going to
talk,
say,
man.
here's the bottom line. I'm going to say white people should leave South Africa because South
TN
Africa
seems
is a
so
black
triggered
homeland.
right now, man. TN does.
I'm going to say, well, then black people should leave Europe because Europe is our white homeland.
Bullshit. That's what I say.
Well, that's what you're saying. I'm just reversing what you're saying. Back to
No,
this
you're not
white-
reversing anything because I
Yeah,
asked you
if
to
you're-
prove the shit and you fucking running. You can't prove nothing.
I've just
You
been
can't. You
speaking
don't
for
even
3
know a
hours,
source
mate.
off the top of your
Mate,
own
you're like
brain
3
of what you have actually read and studied, and you can't even give me a damn source. Like, this is retarded shit.
Hey,
You gotta go look and search for shit that you should know because this is your fucking origin.
What source are you looking for? What are you
Man,
looking
don't even fucking ask me what source I'm looking for. I'm asking for
Yasha.
the source that tells
What do you
you
want me to
that
prove?
your fucking
Yasha.
origins is in fucking Europe.
Yeah,
No, don't you
Europe-
shard me. Don't you shard me. Don't say you shard
So
nothing.
you don't.
Because I know what the fuck I'm saying.
Okay.
And my boy right here, K, he running from the shit.
Okay, let's
Hold
look
on.
at the reality.
Terrence, stop getting
situation.
involved.
Is
Let them
Europe
talk.
right? Is Europe a white country? Is Europe?
Europe is not a fucking white country. I just told you that. Your origins
No,
don't
it's a
fucking
continent.
start there. So I'm asking you, where do your fucking origins start?
Well, I live in Europe, and all I
I don't give a
Please
fuck
stop
where you
muting
live
me,
at.
TN.
I don't give a
on
fuck where you live at. You can live in Japan.
on
That doesn't
you.
make you a fucking Japanese.
What are you doing? Why is TN muting
Europe
me?
is
Like,
full
what?
of.
Yo,
Because I'm a
Amadaya.
moderator, I'm a moderator,
What you
and I'm
talking
telling
about?
you to
Yeah,
stop
You
interrupting.
need to
You don't
Wait,
need to
tell me
mute
this
me.
radical
I'm telling
idea
you
that
to stop
Europe is-
interrupting them talking. I'm a
Okay.
moderator.
Stop that shit.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
you've interrupted him as well. Okay,
No,
stop
I was
that shit
having a
with
one-to-one
moderating.
dialogue. Okay,
Just let
Yeah.
it flow. Let it flow.
I
Let
am.
it flow, bro.
That's why I'm stopping
Okay.
Terrence.
All right,
No,
let me
but
respond to this.
Yeah,
Hold
TN
on,
is
don't-
triggered, right? Right about
All right,
this.
it's what I'm saying is
This is
it's
what is
on
happening.
you. If you want to suggest that Europe isn't full of white,
It's not
countries,
on me. It's
well, then
on you because you said that
Oh,
that's
just
your
Sean, let him
origins.
finish. Just let
No,
the
I'm
guy
not letting nothing. I'm not
Terrence,
letting
stop
shit finish. So
interrupting.
answer the
Oh my
question
God.
what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm not allowing that
Why are you
shit.
swearing?
You need to fucking deal with what I'm
Calm
asking.
down,
Period,
man. You
point
got
blank.
some
You know
demons.
why I'm acting like this? Because when you guys ask me a motherfucking question, I address the fucking question. I don't deflect shit.
Man,
This
you
is
got
why
some
I'm acting
inner
like
demons.
this. So when I ask a question
All right.
to you guys, I need you
Why
guys
do
to
you hate
address it
white
just
people?
like
Hey.
I treat you. I don't treat
Hey.
you motherfuckers like this.
Hey, why do you hate
Calm
white
down.
people? Why do you hate white people?
Okay, when did he
There's no
say he
hate.
hated
I'm
white
asking
people?
the
Okay,
question
when
and
did he say
I'm
that?
expecting for you guys to address it
Why
because
do you hate white
you're
people?
supposed to be the most
When did he
enlightened
say
ones
that?
on the fucking
Hey,
planet.
Yajar,
You should be able to
I'm
address
trying
a
to
simple
answer the
question.
question, but no one trying to talk, yeah, and this guy keeps muting me. I'm trying to talk to Yazar. My point is, yeah, he's saying, yeah, prove how British, for example, yeah, I've always been white, yeah.
He not gonna listen, Terrence. I'm gonna say this shit one more time. He's not gonna deflect what I asked him, asking me a motherfucking question. He's not gonna fucking deflect what I asked. That's not gonna happen.
Ask me
So
a
you
question.
can't answer me with a question.
Ask
Do you
me-
understand what I'm saying, Terrence?
To me,
Yeah, I'm trying to.
All right then, so bro, stop trying to fucking Captain Save this motherfucker and let him address the question.
Don't fucking back down, Terrence, man. Don't let him.
Is Africa white?
No, Terrence ain't the one that got a bag. Terrence ain't got nothing to do with this.
I'm just
It's
trying to
about
answer the
motherfucking
question,
K.
man.
Terrence,
I'm talking to
What's
K
your-
right now.
right, what's
That's
your
the only person I'm talking to on this panel
Okay,
right now.
instead of
It's
saying
K.
why he hates white people, why don't you answer his question for once?
Why isn't Africa full of white? Africa is a white country. Africa is a white continent. You have to follow. Where's the source that says Africa isn't a white country?
Okay, how long can you last there right now? Now that you're here in Africa, now that you guys are in Africa, how long can you last there without dying of skin cancer?
We can last a hell of, because we invented things like sun cream and air conditioning. We can survive pretty well.
You know, black
As-
people can get sunburned too.
Can they? That's actually news to me.
Sure, we can.
That's news to me, man.
Yeah, the UV rays, they definitely penetrate melanin very toughly, man. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
but what about the vitamin D deficiency? Black people can't.
You see now everybody that's listening to this live stream, you motherfuckers, y'all see how these people actually deflect A simple
They
ass
don't answer
question
the question.
about
They
their
never
origin.
do.
Deflecting. You're the
This
one
is
Never
about
answer
their
the question. And
origins.
K is the worst person. He never answers anyone's
Where
questions.
do you come from,
He never
Yashar?
answers
I'm gonna
them.
give you a fucking straight answer, whether you accept it or not. But this
You're paid
motherfucker, he can't
so
even
much.
give you shit. He
I
can't
agree
give
with
you
you.
no.
You sure, bro?
Calm
Calm down a bit, okay?
No, it's not.
Let's go
No,
one
I'm not doing that shit today.
You're
I'm not calming down nothing. I'm not turning
You're
down nothing, bro.
interrupting each other, man.
This
So you
motherfucker
can,
K, he gonna have to fucking address the question, bro.
Hey,
That's what this fucking live stream is about.
Be quiet, one at a time, right?
That's what the live stream is about, bro. So he gonna have to address me, bro. Period.
Okay.
I'm not letting that shit slide. I'm not letting it go.
Tell me your question.
Then stop,
Bro, I'm not listen. Tell me the fucking show me your source that tells you your fucking origin start in fucking Europe.
I could, but I'm on my phone. I'll tell you.
Bro, all you have to do is tell me the fucking source. Just tell me. Tell me.
Go to Google and type in out of Europe theory. But anyway, all right, you're saying who? All right, look at Africa. Right, if you're saying that Europeans originated in Africa, where did the Africans originate from then?
Africans
you tell me. Answer the question
Mesopotamia.
Where did the Africans come from?
Mesopotamia.
Right.
No, no, Africans came from Africa.
Yeah, well, if Europeans didn't come from Europe, and they came from Africa, where did the Africans come from?
Africa.
Europeans didn't come from Europe, man.
Yeah, where did the Africans come from? Is what I'm saying.
He just told you, Mesopotamia.
Africa.
Or where did they come
It's
from?
not Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia. That's where the Africans come from. That's where the first person that what you would consider to be an African comes from.
Listen, let's look at the reality of the situation. Like, you can go back in history and talk about all this shit, but the reality is Europe is our white homeland and Africa is a black homeland.
Listen, we understand what you guys did over the time. We understand the fact that you guys conquered what you guys conquered in the lands that you constantly conquered.
We didn't conquer Europe. We've been here for all of time.
You blind your eyes. You cover your eyes.
Okay, we've been in Europe for 40,000 years. We didn't conquer it.
Bro,
we evolved it.
Bro, listen.
We evolved it.
Listen. The people that was in that land before you motherfuckers was there did not look like you. The artifacts proves that. The artifacts prove it, bro. You guys did not build. Listen to what I'm saying clearly.
Fantasy.
You guys did not build anything ancient in that fucking land.
That's ridiculous.
Nothing that's prominent, nothing that's still there. You guys actually put your hands to and built. Didn't do none of that shit.
Do you know where Britain? If you look at Britain on a map, okay, Britain is a small island which has been just an isolated island for thousands and thousands of years. Explain to me how the fuck black people got there from Africa.
What you mean? We just told your dumb ass that all the fucking black people didn't fucking come from Africa. Stupid. What the fuck is wrong with you? That's some ignorant ass shit.
Stop being a little chicken, okay? And look at the Dark Ages.
All over the motherfucking planet, bro. What the fuck are you talking about? Are you fucking stupid?
Do you know where Britain is?
Amaziah, can we do this Dark Ages stuff right about now, bro? Because I think it's about time.
This that dumb shit, bro. Listen, man. Listen. The dumb shit you talking about, you can't prove, bro.
Neither can you. And your shit is just dumb.
I wouldn't be fucking talking it if I couldn't prove it. Only reason why you say what you said is because your motherfucking people is put the shit out there.
Hey, look, I already read. Listen, he's playing games because I read him 4 pages out of 2 different books about.
Yeah, I already know, bro.
I could read out of Mein Kampf. It wouldn't.
Hey, bro, I'm on here right now. I'm giving the panel what it's for. I'm doing what it's supposed to be done. So at the end of the day, this dude right here is deflecting his own motherfucking origins. He don't know about himself.
Let's get to the baseline of it.
Let's
just get to the bottom of this.
You should know about yourself. That is the fucking basis.
No one answered this guy's question because he hasn't got the respect to answer anyone else's questions. He hasn't got any respect. He hasn't got any respect.
I wish I could see my whole control panel. I can't even see the whole thing.
He's got no respect.
That's because you're a Hebrew Israelite.
Jim, I'm not answering any of your questions, man. You're a troll.
Okay, I'm speaking to the other guy.
You looked it up. What did it say about Irania, Zulu? Come on, man.
Well, from what I saw, this was during the apartheid period.
And it's still there today, Zulu.
So you're misinformed. You're very misinformed. 2% of the population is black. So you're very misinformed.
No. Zero. It's all white, man. There's a legal for black.
So how come it says 2% of the population is black? Why does it say 2% of the population is black? Why does it say 2% of the population?
It's illegal.
How the fuck is it illegal? That's amazing. What the fuck?
In South Africa.
Imagine
yeah,
being
there's
such a
pla-
loser
in
at life
South
that you have to
Africa.
hijack the history of other people's cultures
Listen, in South
and
Africa, there was a
instill your
town.
own
Yeah.
to be able to feel better about yourself.
In South Africa, there was
Yeah.
a town called Arania. Yeah, and it's only white people are only allowed to live
It
there.
was illegal during
and it has
apartheid.
0% crime in this town. 0%.
It was illegal during apartheid. Don't you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
People literally leave their keys in their cars. They leave their keys
That's
in their
amazing,
cars.
bro.
It's like that where in
Okay,
rural
wait, Spiritual,
Maine.
are you guys
That's 'cause-
believing this guy? He's trying crap. You can type
Yeah.
this thing on the internet and you will see that he's trying crap. Type it in.
What's
what
the
he's
documentary?
describing.
Farmlands. It's on farmlands. What's the documentary, mate? The documentary was brought out
Hey,
last week.
Jim.
Sorry, man.
Hey, what you're talking about is basically just white society, because in rural Maine, where I used to live, people left their keys in the cars and did everything that you described, but it was only white
This is a
people.
gated. No, but this is a gated community.
Yeah, but
That is
okay.
amazing. I didn't even know that.
But I think
It was
what
on
you're
that
talking about.
farmlands. If anyone,
Bro, type in the place Spurs. You see that he's lying.
It's
not
it's
Two
like
percent
that
of the
everywhere.
2%. 13% of
Wait.
the no,
What is it
13% of the
called?
population is black.
Urania.
So what the
is it
hell are you
called?
on about?
Urania. What is it called again?
I can't spell it.
Urania.
Yeah, Arania. I can't spell it, man. I don't know.
Yeah, you can't spell it.
Okay.
It's O R A N I A.
Watch that documentary, Farmlands. Watch it. It was brought out by Lauren Sovereign about 2 weeks ago. It's about South
Orania,
Africa.
you mean?
Yeah.
No, O
Yeah.
A
O-R.
N I A.
You know what? I'm
O-R-A.
on Google. I'll find it and I'll post it.
No, I've got it. I'm looking at it right now, and you're lying.
I'm searching.
You're clearly talking about apartheid. Many places in the whole of South Africa was whites only, blacks only sections. It was basically the civil rights movement in South Africa.
Okay,
You're so miscombobulated. You don't even know what part of history you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're fooling people in here. And I actually know about South African history, and it's disgusting what you are doing. You're an ignorant British man who vouches for white people wherever you are, but you don't know nothing about history.
What I think what
And
this
Kay
guy
is
is
another guy
talking
who
about-
avoids people's questions, doesn't want to get into history, says, "Oh, let's talk about now. Let's not go over into the past."
True.
It doesn't matter about the past. You
Town
can
of
talk about the Dark Ages, but the Dark
It's a white
Ages won't
only
change
city,
anything.
bro.
See, I
It's a
told you
white
it's
town.
true. See, thank you, Spiritus. Thank you.
Found it
It's true. I know
What's
more
it
about
called
your
again, the
country,
place?
TN. On your logic-
Alright, so go in on the Dark Ages.
Orania.
Yeah, that's
Let's go
it.
into the Dark Ages.
Hey,
And
Liam.
you know what's
Guys.
funny? When I mentioned the Dark Ages in the last angle, Kay said, "I don't want to hear any." Kay said, "I don't want to hear any of your hate speech."
No,
He said, "I don't want to hear any of your hate speech." How is the Dark Ages hate speech?
I'll
What?
tell you
Listen,
why.
he's
Because
right
the only
about the
reason.
Okay,
Wait,
it's a
can I
white
answer your
only
question?
town. It's a white only town in South
So why
Africa.
is there 2% black people? Can you explain that, Spiritus?
Where?
That's
In
an outlier,
Orania?
clearly.
Yes.
Where does it say that? I don't
If
know.
you go on Wikipedia, it says approximately 90%. So it's about 1%, 90%
always
black
right.
African. And then there's 1.90%
I
colored
believe
people.
Wikipedia.
So it's
Believe the
about
mayor
2%
himself.
colored
Watch the
people.
interview of the mayor.
So can you explain that?
No.
Why is it
Maybe-
2%
maybe-
colored?
Maybe Wikipedia is outdated on this subject. Who knows? I don't
Outdated?
know.
Look at the Wikipedia.
If you go to the
On this
bottom, it will
subject.
tell you
On this
when this was
subject,
last
I-
when this was last published. And it's not
Let
that
me
long
get
ago.
on Wikipedia. Let me get
Hey,
on
Liam.
Wikipedia. Quick, but this
Liam.
shit works
Yeah,
hard.
If I'm allowed to talk, because like for some reason, yeah, everyone else has been talking for the last 5 moments. This guy keeps muting me, man. You know the
that's
place you
really
mentioned,
weird.
yeah? You know that place you mentioned. What's it called again?
No,
Orania.
he can't spell it. Let me
That's
spell it for you.
That's
O-R-A.
Yeah, why the fuck does TN keep like over talking me, man? Like what? Like it's
Victim.
really
You're
annoying.
doing the victim game
Liam.
again.
Yeah, why is this guy right? Think, yeah,
You're
that
doing the victim game
he
again.
has to talk over people.
You play the
Jesus
victim
Christ.
game a lot, so shut
Anyway, Liam, you
No,
know
I
the
don't.
place you mentioned, yeah, and Spiritus found a name, yeah, right?
up. Yeah.
Is it like is it? I remember reading about it, but I've never seen any pictures.
Okay, I'm watching.
It's gated.
I'm on
community.
Wikipedia.
It's not got fencing around.
Yeah, it's like a giant fortress thing. It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
stronghold
yeah.
for white people.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
And
okay,
it's
okay.
like, and it's like if the war kicks off there, that's where they can all go in it to like regroup and that, innit?
Okay, hold on. Let
I've
me
read
read.
about
So
it, but I've never seen
population
pictures of it.
population in 2017, it's 1,500 people.
Is that it?
1,000.
Fuck.
Okay, so
That's crazy.
The aim of the town is to create a stronghold for Afrikaans and the Afrikaner identity by keeping their language and culture alive. Hold on.
When you're finished, I need to read something from the same site, and I'll prove to you that you're wrong.
Wrong about what?
Black people
Demographics,
not being
right?
allowed there.
A local census carried out in 2014 found.
It doesn't matter whether they're allowed. It is what it is. It is a white community.
Yeah, they bring them in for
Yeah.
work, and then they have to
I'm
leave
not
at the end
talking
of
to
the
you because
day.
you evade and you evade, you duck and hide
I'm
too
not
many
doing that.
questions.
I
I'm not
apologize
talking
if
to you. I'm
that's how
talking to
it's
Terrence and
Let me-
Jim.
let me
You
read,
evade too
I
many
honestly, I'm
conversations.
not trying
Let me
to
I'm
read.
done with you,
Let
man.
me read.
I'm done.
Let me read. Let me read. White
Why?
South
Because you
Africans
got
were the
offended
main.
at being
Because
Somalian.
you don't want to deal with history. You're
All
No,
scared.
because
you're
you don't
Because
dumb.
like
the further
your
you
own.
go back,
You don't
the
like
more
your
you're
own
the
principles
more
being
you're at the
applied to
bottom.
you. You
This is
Can
why
I
you don't
read?
want to deal with it.
fine. No, you're
Motherfucker,
perfectly
can I
fine with
read?
having white
Can we
Let
let
people
Spiritus
thrown out of
speak.
Africa.
Let Spiritus speak.
If we let
Okay.
Spiritus read, we all might learn something, yeah? So let him speak, man. Tien, your ignorance of this topic, so shut up for a minute.
Oh, you're not
Okay.
going to tell Kay to show up, huh?
I'm trying to find it, but it says
Tien,
white
I'm
South
just
Africans
applying.
were
There's
the
not a lot of
main
writing about it.
population group at
It's
the
quite
time of
unknown.
2011 census, representing 97% of the total white South Africans. Afrikaans is the only language used in all spheres of local life. But where does it say?
Can I read
Where
it?
does it say? Yeah, where does it say?
If you go down to application processes on Wikipedia, the second paragraph will explain exactly what this guy's trying to lie about. It says here,
Politics and administration.
application processes. Being an Afrikaner is the most important criterion for admission. Sorry, most news sources report that black or colored people are not allowed to live in Oriana, although the town spokesman insists that there is no rules against admitting them as residents. Though the community is not supportive of same-sex relationships, some gays do live on Oriana. So this is media and news propaganda because the town spokesman insists that there's no rules against admitting them as residents. So this is what happens when you listen to the media and you believe what they're saying, rather than over people that actually
No.
live there
I
and
watched
know
the
what they're talking.
interview last week, yeah, which was
But
done
one
only
video
done
isn't going to give you the answers, Jim.
No.
Let him talk.
No, I watched a documentary by Lauren Southern, that Canadian journalist. Yeah, she's done a documentary called Farmlands. Yeah?
Of course.
And it has the town mayor, in it, saying exactly what I've just said.
So can you explain why?
Out last week. It was last week,
Listen,
my friend.
one video is not going to verify what you're saying. This source is.
Wait, that's not just one video, bro. That's a fucking documentary with the mayor. That's not you.
So can you explain why I just read then?
I remember reading
because
about it.
Maybe Wikipedia doesn't know everything about
and
the
can you
subject.
explain? And can you explain to me why the Gaza community has signed a cooperation agreement in December 2017 in 2012, and the Gaza community is actually a native tribe in that area. So can you explain that to me?
Yeah, because they are the native people there, because no one lived there before, innit? There was no one.
So what do you mean there's no blacks allowed in there? This is what happens when you make blanket statements with very little evidence.
Blacks they're coming to work, and then they leave at the end of the day, as far as
exactly. Thank you, Spiritus. Remember what he said, Spiritus. He said there's no blacks. Remember?
TM. If you genuinely believe that,
so who's wrong now?
Genuinely believes that the whites should have no place in Africa.
That's not what we're talking about. Stop evading. I'm talking to these two. I don't want to talk to you about anything to do with South Africa because you're ignorant. Okay.
No,
so
it's
Jim
just because
and
you
Tim,
are smart.
you're going to have to take back your statement that there is no. You're going to have to take back your statement that there's no black people living there because you said there's no black people living there, and I've proved to you that clearly is. So you have to take that back.
But he just told you that the mayor of the town said that there are no white people there, right?
Black people or white people?
No,
Black
he told
people,
but I'm showing you a source and evidence that the spokesman himself is saying.
We just told you that they got the direct source from.
Do you know who a town spokesman is?
Mayor.
Anyway, this topic's stretched on a bit long now.
These are news sources. These are media sources saying that black people are not allowed in there. The actual
black
government
people go in there to work, but I don't believe the
live there. The actual people that own own this town are saying that there's no rules against them coming in there as residents. There may be there may be racial attacks or violence towards the black people coming in there, making them not want to go in there. But there's no legal law to say that these people cannot come in and live there or become residents.
But
why would it be racial attacks?
Where does the disagreement lie here? Is it just in the legality of it or the actual thing itself?
There's no legal law. That's what I'm arguing. There's no legal law in that part of the.
But the reality is that it is a white community in South Africa, correct?
It may be a community full of Dutch or British or Afrikaners, but that does not mean that is only.
Hey, Zulu.
Yeah.
Hey, yo, Zulu. I'm gonna step away for a little bit. All right, right.
Don't leave me here, man, because I'm gonna have to go on a bit. It's my Sabbath, bro. I can't be doing this crap now.
Man, I was gonna tell you. I'm keeping the stream up. You know what I'm saying? But we got.
You can't leave me here on my own, bro.
The Google Underground Kings.
No one can hurt you,
bro.
Hey,
these
TN,
guys, bro.
If you apply
I
the
can't do
logic,
this anymore.
if you apply the same
I'd
logic,
rather TN just leave, to be
white
honest, because
South
the guy's just too slow, man.
You got the King Zulu, man. He been handling and educating these heathens about South Africa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to dip, bro, because I can't handle this tomfoolery any longer, bro.
Yeah, go on, and we'll stop making a scene and go if you're gonna go.
I'll go when I want to go, man. I'm not gonna let you tell me what to do. I'll go when I want to go.
Can I ask you one last question?
You go, Denid. Just go, man.
Hey, listen, man. Listen. Hey, K, I just put a whole lot of information in that back chat that just proved you a motherfucking lie, bro.
What?
Yeah, what? I didn't study.
About what?
Okay, what? I was speaking to.
And just go to the back chat and read, bro. That's all you
read the information.
Somebody got to be able to read the information and be able to understand what I'm talking about.
TN, can I ask you one last question?
I'm not answering any of your questions. You've evaded. You've not had the respect to answer any of my questions. So why should I answer any of your questions?
Can I make a statement?
Right.
That you don't
you
even
can
have
make
to
a statement, but it's
okay.
Pointless.
My statement is if you apply your logic that you apply to whites who are in South Africa, you are a Somalian African in Britain. So if you apply that same logic, then I have every right to say that Africans should leave Britain.
You can say what you want.
I'm a Zulu. I'm not Somalian.
That's it. Like I put the information in the back chat to prove that
I'm a South African Zulu. I'm not Somalian.
Okay, but if you are in Britain,
it's that simple. I did that real quick on my phone.
Yeah, but all right, but TN, you get where I'm coming from here, right?
I don't get where you're coming from because
you hear what I'm saying.
It's like you're living in a bubble.
Information that proves that it's not populated by you motherfuckers first is in the back chat. That's what I'm saying, K.
It's like you're living in a vacuum, bro. There's no help for you. Like you've gone so far into your own garbage.
You've spoken.
I can't even help you.
1 minute, and then you've come to that.
No, I can't help you, bro.
To me for 1 minute.
You're too deep. You're too deep in your garbage. I can't help you.
All right, have it your way then. See you later.
And you have no respect to answer any of my questions. If you were a decent human being, you'd have respect to answer my questions.
Would you like me to answer your question? I'll
you've got no
answer your
respect.
question. I'm not trying to dodge your questions. It's difficult in this hangout, right? If you want to ask me a question, I'll happily answer.
Okay, so do you want to talk about the Dark Ages, yes or no?
I don't think it's relevant to anything in reality, is what I'm saying.
So you're saying that history and past events are not relevant to the consequences of the present day?
My belief is that the only reason... My belief is that the only reason why someone would bring up the Dark Ages is to portray is to harm whites and attack whites, but by saying they were savages or something.
No, that's not the case. Actually, the case of me without you implying my reasoning to doing this, my actual intention is to show you that you don't have all the answers. You're not the perfect race that is the most intelligent, that was able to... Stop interrupting me. Stop interrupting me, please. This is why I didn't want to talk to you.
I don't think I'm the perfect race.
I will mute you. I will have to mute you if you keep interrupting me.
Wait a minute. Nobody said they're the perfect race, bro.
Okay. So what I was saying was that the reason why I'm bringing up the Dark Ages because it's to show that any advancement in civilization is a group, a movement. It's something that people from many nations came together to boost civilization. It wasn't a single race. It was more advanced that went around conquering and being, the best specimen of humankind. This is why the Dark Ages is a perfect example of foreigners from Africa and from Arabia coming in to the European peninsula and giving them a lot of educational resources and medicine and sciences, astronomy, and even building one of the first universities. This is evidence for intelligence outside of Europe. Okay, even at higher level.
Let him answer to that.
All right, where was the question?
About it.
Where was the question in all that?
It just sounds like an anti-white tirade to me.
No, it's not. It's not. No.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to discredit white people.
I'm not.
Trying to do.
I just expect. Did I not just say when people from different places come together?
Why don't you just acknowledge that us white people can just have our own homelands in our own countries?
I have no hate towards you people. I have no hate. You don't even understand how much I care for all people. The reason why I get passionate and angry is because people in the state of ignorance or in the state of staying in the bubble, being fixed in a bubble, are people that I get angry towards.
I'm glad you're 100% enlightened right now.
Because the people that don't want to talk about history and say that it's irrelevant and it has no purpose.
Come on,
people that have
funny how you're saying
because you're choosing to ignore the past events that led to the present day. If you can't see the past events, then you won't know how to move forward. So if you're choosing to say, "Oh, it's
all of your
anti-white,"
ancestors, right? All the ancestors which you respect, they just went on their instincts and what they saw and what were their senses. They didn't have all this history. They just did what their instincts told them to do. And so,
what are you talking about? Whose ancestors? Like, you even know who my ancestors are?
Like you mentioned something about Zulus, didn't you?
Do you know anything about the Zulu Empire? Do you know anything about the Rosvi Empire? The Shona people, the Great Zimbabwe?
Look, our ancestors did what they did. They did it following their instincts. They didn't need to revert to all this. There's a lot of what is it? All these quotes from different books, all right? And to me, I just go off what I see and what I know, all right?
What I see you. That's not reality.
That's
your
me.
Bias.
That's everyone. That's people from all of this. So
listen, the way you're talking is animalistic.
TN,
did you say animalistic?
I'm just trying to explain why I personally can't gain any value from when you're talking about the Dark Ages. It just doesn't affect my life.
No, it's not about affecting your life. That's not nothing. I don't care about affecting your life. I just want to debunk this garbage that you were spewing earlier about how you came to us and we were just, not as advanced because of the. And you mentioned something about the climate, and you were kind of comparing an idea that because of the harsher environment led to you having a high IQ or intelligence level.
That's correct.
And this is something that I'm trying. This is something I'm trying to debunk by going back into history, like you did, and showing you examples of people. Let me finish.
Okay.
And I'm showing you examples. Hold on, bro. I'm showing you examples of people in hot climates that are coming with more intellect and actually boosting your civilization. And if you're not willing to evaluate that, you're ignoring a crucial part of history, and it shows
I'm just highly skeptical that anything like what you're suggesting could
don't presuppose anything
on this island. How could it have happened here? I just don't. Or in Northern
Don't presuppose anything. Look, why don't you go into a conversation open-minded? Right. Why do you have to assume someone's going to speak?
No, I'm not assuming anything. Right, this is what I know. We've existed on this island for 40,000 years or so. And you're trying to tell me that everything we've learned was given to us by black people. And I'm asking you, explain to me how Africans or black people could have got to this country in thousands of years ago.
Okay, so what we have is have you heard of Mansu Musa?
Oh my fucking god. Oh man, I can't listen to this shit. This guy is
okay, you see, this is what I mean. Whenever a black person wants to talk about black history being better than what it is now, they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it.
Not that bullshit.
Are you talking about the richest man in Africa?
Okay, see when it's good things about black people, it's bullcrap, right?
We don't talk about black people. White people don't think
this guy is literally going to talk about the richest black African in Africa. Like it makes any difference.
I'm trying to give you an example of trade routes spreading away from Africa. People can go to different places in the world. This is how the so-called out of Africa theory happened. People left and they migrated into other places. So how are you saying, how were they able to go to Europe? Of course they were able to go to Europe. Do you know how far Spain is to Morocco? You can literally cross the river in a few days and end up in Spain.
They don't believe it. They don't believe that anybody had boats except for them in Columbus and shit. You know what I'm saying?
The Egyptians had boats. What are you on about?
Everybody had
they
boats.
cross the Atlantic?
He said something completely different.
Yes.
You're answering
How
to
do you think
something he
how
didn't
did the
say.
Native Americans get there? Can you explain
You're
that to me?
answering to something he
They
didn't say,
evolved there. They were
motherfucker.
the
No, they did not evolve. They did not evolve there. They were migrated
all right,
into
you do
that land.
realize that tectonic plates at one point in time, all the plates of the Earth were
The
one
Native
giant
Americans came from Northeast Africa. They migrated.
All right,
They
you know,
migrated
okay,
from
but
Northeast Africa.
look, you know that. Do you acknowledge that at some point in time all the continents were merged together, and during the Ice Age people could travel across?
So now you're trying to talk about the continental drift.
No. What I'm saying is that the Africans, they were indigenous to America.
Listen, the continental drift, right, is not. You're not able to actually track how all of the continents split off. And when we're talking about the continental drift, we're talking thousands upon thousands of years ago.
You got a bit of an echo.
The native. Well, someone needs to mute their mic. Clearly, it's not me. Spiritual, you need to mute your mic.
Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna leave.
This is fucking. This guy's just. He's just a fucking stupid kid. He's
a king, man.
I'm a stupid kid. So, Terrence, what source have you brought up today? What information have you bestowed upon us?
You won't let him
people.
give you, motherfucker.
Alright, if I'm allowed to talk for a second.
Okay, so let me shut up so you can enlighten me. Okay.
TN, I've just got one thing to say to you. It's not even anything mean. You do know if it wasn't for colonization, you wouldn't even be sitting here right now. You wouldn't be on the internet. Your family wouldn't be fucking living in England.
Bro, the internet was invented by a man named Philip Magwali. He's a Nigerian, right?
You're not listening.
Because he was
anything which white people do. Philip Magwali. He's a Nigerian. You can look it up. He's known as the father of the internet, and he's also the inventor of the first supercomputer. No, you said we wouldn't be here. You said we wouldn't be sitting here. You damn right, though.
One at a time. One at a time. Come on.
Christ. Why do these guys think they can just start chimping out when I start talking?
What do you mean? Because you on our platform.
Did you hear that sly ad hominem chimping out?
Bro, listen, we'll stop acting like a fucking idiot then, innit? Listen, right?
One at a time. How's that hard? One at
the racist is coming out, innit? Chimping out.
Well, bro, listen, yeah, well, don't fit the stereotype then, innit?
Why don't you go back to your caveman? How about that?
What language are you speaking? You're saying you're speaking English.
Jesus Christ.
I'm speaking witchcraft right now.
And this applies
to the English language is a spell.
What's the point, man?
By your own logic, you should be in Somalia if you want the white South.
I'm not Somalian, you idiot. I'm from South Africa.
Where are you from? South Africa.
Why do you keep calling me a bloody Somalian?
Someone else said they were Somalian. Sorry, I thought that was.
No one here said they were Somalian. Okay.
All right. Fine, but if you want the white South Africa because you view that as your country, then why shouldn't we say people like you should get out of our country?
Because it's so much more complex. The reason why,
really? Of course it is.
Are you willing to listen, young man? Are you willing to listen, young man?
Are you willing to listen to the whites in South Africa?
You just asked me a question, young man. Would you like me to respond?
Go ahead.
Was it just something to attack?
Right. Still didn't Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So the reason why, let me explain why it's so complex. The reason why it's so complex is because there's so many reasons to why people of this skin tone ended up in this environment, in this area. Most of 50%, 60%, 80% of the reason why they're there is because it is not their choice. The 20%. Hold on, young man. Give me 10 seconds, young man. Give me 10 seconds, young man. Give me 10 seconds, young man. 20% of the reason why they're there is free migration, which I'll admit, because I am also an immigrant. But most of it is through transmissioning these people from their own place into another place. I don't even need to say slavery because that's going to get you triggered, or white hate speech, even though it's history.
It doesn't. I was just wondering where you got these statistics.
So can you reply to that?
20%, 80%.
Can you reply to that?
Where are these statistics coming from?
Can you reply to that, please?
I'd like to know where you got these statistics from. You mentioned 20%.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the rush, the wind rush?
I want to talk about the reality of the situation.
Because that's a big reason why there's so many blacks in your country.
Wait a minute, pause.
Colonization.
That's a big reason to why there's so many blacks in your country. The wind rush.
Okay, what do you want to talk about the reality of the situation that we're in?
The situation is right.
Yeah, us white people, our homelands are being flooded by Africans, and
what homelands?
Of Europe.
Oh,
we have no homeland.
We haven't even got a homeland. Actually, since as you know everything,
you should be more worried about the Islamics, bro. We are not afraid.
I I am.
We
but
are not
it's the
even a
same-
threat to
right.
you. You
I-
should worry
I
about those
think,
Muslims,
look,
bro.
Here's what I think. Okay, I think that Africans who grew up in the West, they look around them and they don't see a society that reflects them. And that causes
That's
them.
why they're so resentful.
You know, that's
What
why
you
it
talking
causes
about, man?
them
We
a lot
built
of
this whole
torment
place
in
and
their
we're all
soul.
Okay,
aware that we built America.
unlike other races, Africans don't
But-
come and make a whole
but do
city
you know what I
African.
want?
If
How
you
does
go
it not
to
reflect us?
Birmingham,
We built
hey,
the whole
if you
thing.
go to Birmingham, the whole of Birmingham, most of Birmingham looks like you're in Pakistan. We don't do that. We don't come
Exactly.
to another place.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
why are you attacking black
You
people
should.
for
I'm
coming
not
in?
attacking you. I want you to have that. I want you to have your own civilization that reflects your own people. That's what I
TN.
want for you. I
But
don't
we're
want
not
to
your
hurt you.
problem. We're not your problem.
anytime.
The Islamics are
Well,
your
you kind of
problem.
are
Don't you
because you're already
understand?
here.
TN.
It's both you and the
TN.
Islamics. I'm sorry to
You've
say
got
it.
to go
Listen,
home,
you're gonna
TN.
focus your
Like, we
attention
are
on us, and that's
encouraging
gonna
you
be
to
your
go
downfall
No,
because the
it's just
secret
because you're
enemy
here
is
now.
gonna take your
You're
country over.
misconstruing.
The
I
actual
TN, you
enemy.
can
100%
go
agree
home
with you.
anytime.
Hey, I 100% agree with you with the Muslims, but you are. It's not because I hate you that I'm saying this. It's because I respect you in a way. I think you deserve your own homeland where that reflects your own people. Because it's just going
Listen,
to cause
I'm
you more and
British.
more
I've
harm.
got British citizenship. What do you
Sure,
mean,
but
my homeland? I'm British.
right, the blood
You're
that
not, yeah,
anyone
but
can
you're
be
not.
given a.
You're not British by blood.
Let me respond to that.
You're not
Anyone
British
can
by
be
blood
given
because
a
you could be
passport.
Irish. You could be Roman.
Oh
You
my
could
God.
It must be well hard
Guys,
for
can I
it must
respond
be
to
well
this?
hard
Okay.
for Terrence
You
and
could
blood,
Terrence.
the
You could
blood
Jim.
that
You
runs
could be
through your
Greek.
veins.
You could be Roman.
TN, 1 second.
The
TN.
blood that
Let me
runs
say
through your
something.
veins is
Slama,
more important than any
it must be
passport. Okay.
it must be well hard.
Anyone can be given a passport.
It must be
If
well
I was
hard for
born in Japan and I was 6'2"
Any
and had blue eyes, would I be a Japanese person?
Yeah, right. Yeah, but would you know, like for you two,
But Kate, if you're
this
gonna
is a question
gonna
for Terrence. This is a question for Terrence and Slammy. Yeah, Joe, for you two, it must be well hard, yeah, for you two to watch the World Cup, man. Because obviously, I don't mind about like living with things. I've got a problem with Islam, innit? But I'm a civic nationalist, innit? Like,
Mate,
you know what I'm saying? So it must be
listen,
hard
when I
for you
see
two
this
to,
whole
like,
Swedish
support-
team, yeah, all white, yeah, it makes me happy. Well,
What the
like you
fuck?
can,
You lot are fucked up, man. They're not all white, man. And they're not all white.
you can see. I mean, look at the
so
French
irrelevant
team,
to what
yeah,
we're talking
like,
about
We
right
gonna
now.
do nothing but lose. We're
yeah,
sweet.
there hardly any Frenchmen
Does
on
that
that
make you
team.
happy? Because we all know the best
So Kate,
football is the All Blacks. That's what y'all call us, right?
When I
So,
see
okay,
the
to
Icelandic
oh my
team,
gosh,
yeah,
you just
all
want to talk
white,
about
yeah, it
football.
makes me happy because I think, they're Icelandic.
Bring
they
your ass
should
in
all-
this house.
Okay, so Kate, to finish about what you're saying about the DNA and the blood.
When I
The
see
problem with the blood is
Football
because
comes home, man.
you and Terrence want to talk
Right,
about
one
football.
at a time, man. Like one at a time.
When the
I'm trying
Senegal
to
squad is
respond
all
to Kay,
African,
but you
I'm
guys
like,
want to talk about
that's a
football.
good thing.
Yeah, I
That
want to talk
makes me
about
happy.
football because the World Cup's on and England are playing
All right, come
But
on,
yeah.
let TM respond. Okay, go on.
Okay, the problem we have with
Oh, come on.
Who's a
do
pussy?
you have to be do you have to be very disrespectful, Jim? I've not insulted you this whole conversation.
Who's the pussy?
Yeah, dude.
I've not insulted
talking
you
to
this
me?
whole conversation, young man.
Hey,
I
look.
don't respect that.
Yeah,
Alright,
you're
after
saying.
this, I'm just gonna say where I'm coming
No,
from.
Kay, no, I have to respond, man. Come
Yeah,
on.
after your response, I'm gonna
Mate,
respond to
I
you.
can't
Okay,
be arsed
go
anymore.
ahead. Go
I've
ahead.
lost all interest.
Okay, so Kay, the problem when you said the blood surpasses a passport, your homeland. If I was to tell you that I am not indigenous to Africa, it would sound weird, but every single person in their family line has migrated from continent to continent to country to country to country. So you can't really use DNA or blood to pinpoint a homeland because unless you were an Aboriginal and you've been isolated in Australia for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years, you can't really say
Looks like the
that
whites
is your
haven't grown.
homeland.
Okay,
No,
here's
'cause
where I'm
even
gonna
though-
respond to that. Here's how I'm gonna respond to that. Okay, as I'm 16. Okay, and I've grown up in London as a minority. Okay, in all respects. And when I see that the arrow is pointing to colored people coming to Europe and America, and and our demographics getting smaller and smaller, and we're losing power. Can you understand like that? And that causes me some anxiety. Okay, I don't like it. My entire being is saying this is bad. Okay, and I trust my gut. I trust myself. So that's the situation we're in. All right. You can say stuff about the Dark Ages. It's not going to change that, all right?
K Slammer, these people.
What goes around comes around.
See, K Slammer, if you present yourself as some kind of victim to these people, they get happy. Like we have to step over that, bro.
Why do you have such a malicious intent of us?
Well, you guys lick your lips when white people get killed in South Africa.
I don't.
Like,
I told you. I do not want. I told you
You're
that I
more,
do not want white
you had a
individuals in South Africa to
spine.
get killed. I explained this
I've heard you. What
millions
you're
and
talking
millions and
about? I've
millions of
heard you.
times. I want
Fuck
diplomatic
off, man. You little
evacuation
slithering
away
snake.
from.
With your fucking
I
Hebrew
want
fucking
diplomatic
religion. You're a
evacuation
little
away
fucking
from South
wanker. You got
Africa.
no
No one
spine.
needs to die. But
Worship a dead koi because
you are so
fucking
sensitive and so
fuck all you
stupid.
Hebrew little
that what you,
bitches. Fuck yous all. You're all going to hell anyway in your own mind. Fucking idiot.
All right, I'm not gonna talk to you anymore
Yeah,
because you're done.
all right,
You're done for the
I'm
night.
going to ask you this 100% honestly. Do you genuinely believe in, Egyptology or like Hebrew Israelites, that kind of thing?
I'm a Seventh Adventist.
Okay,
I'm
I
a
actually
Protestant.
respect you for that, but sorry, what was that?
I'm a
You're a
Protestant.
Protestant. You're
Yes.
what? A Protestant.
Protestant.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Oh, it doesn't really matter then.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? I'm not Catholic.
Oh, because you get these Africans who are really into sort of
No,
Egyptology.
I'm not Pan-Africanist. No.
But
I'm just
like people
simple.
like that. I would have said that I respect people like that. If they want to have that as a mythological basis to form their own civilization that reflects them, I agree with that. They should do that and do that, wherever they want. But that's the way that they're gonna thrive in the long term.
Listen, you're promoting separation, right? And I think that's what I'm getting from your line of thought.
Well, it's not
I
separation.
actually think
You're promoting people invading our lands.
No, I'm not. No one's invading your lands besides the Islamics.
The Islamic. So when they're Africans, does it not count?
Listen, we're not coming in there with swords and guns and saying we're taking over.
You don't have to.
We're coming in here. We're working. We're working in the hospitals.
I don't blame you, mate. I don't blame you, but like whatever. Whether you're right or wrong. The fact is though, when can't you just can you sympathize with me for a minute as a white?
You just want a place that's full of white faces, but that's not possible.
Yeah, that's what I want.
That's not possible, brother. It's not possible.
I'm asking you can you be sympathetic and understand?
No,
where
they
I'm coming from?
bro. They can't do it.
I can understand in your mind and in your perspective. I can feel the want for that.
So we can find like some common ground. Like as a white person growing up as a minority in London, I don't want that for my children. Like I want my own children to be free to grow up in a society that reflects them, where they know their identity. Like, can you at least sympathize with that?
Yes, okay, I understand that. But because of the
and that's why I don't really care about the Dark Ages. I'm sorry about it, but
okay, regardless of you caring or not, the reason why I brought this up, my friend, is because it is a past event that has led to this catastrophic immigration, catastrophic race war. This is the pivotal event that led to the present day. And there's many events prior to that led to this day. And the reason why I want to talk about it, because it will give us some clarity onto why are the blacks here? What is going on? Why were we able to conquer the whole world? These are things that you were explaining earlier, but I wanted to go back so I could explain why that was possible.
I think the bottom line is it seems to me that you have your own people and you wish your goal in politics is to advance the goals and interests of your people.
I love all people.
But like my interest is just the same. I have my own people and I want to preserve them and see them do well. I don't want to go.
I think humanity should unite. You think they should separate? There's a problem there.
But I don't. I respect these other people. Like I don't think it's a human right for other races to have access to white people, which is what basically they want. And I don't.
So why do
I
you think?
respect
Why
them.
do you think?
I want them to have their own homelands where they
have
their own countries.
Can I ask you a question? Is it impossible for human? Because let me ask you one question.
I don't think it's desirable. I don't think it's desirable.
Just to get this out of the way, do you believe that there's only one human race?
I guess so, unless there's aliens.
Would you agree that race is a social construct and not a biological?
No, race is definitely biological, and even if it is a social construct, I would still think it's legitimate. But so yeah.
Well, to an extent, I would agree and disagree because, and I know you hate history, but let me just bring this up.
I don't hate history.
During the Greek period, blacks and whites, they didn't look at each other as you're black and I'm white. We should have separation anxiety, or we should classify or declassify each other. They saw each other as you are from this land. So, for example, if you were from Pompeii, you're a Pompeian, so you have this characteristic, you have these attributes. It was your location, like you said, your birthland, your motherland. So, race is something kind of new, or the concept of racism is kind of a new thing. So this is why I'm explaining to you. So
I think that what I'm presenting to you, the attitudes and ideas I'm espousing to you, I do believe that they also held them, but they use different language. Like the idea that, like, people like to say, oh, the Irish weren't considered white, but if you line up, say, a British person, an Irish person, and an African person, you can clearly tell that both the British person and the Irish person are white, and the African person is black. So, I mean, if you're going to go on with these arguments, I think it's really just to lose touch with reality.
No, but it's a complexion. It's a color. It's not even racism. It's colorism. Because if we are all one race,
I don't even care about color. Like
no, but if I didn't have Africoid features or Negroid features and I was a European, you wouldn't be asking me why won't your people leave and this and that, because I would look like you. But that's the problem.
Yeah, no, you would be us. You would be part of our group.
That's the problem. You're separating.
It's not me that's doing it. Listen, I am young. I did not cause any separation.
Bro, I'm young as well. I'm 18, bro. I'm not that much older than you, bro.
We both arrived on this scene already divided, okay? It's not either of us that's causing this divide. What's causing this divide is a process of human nature, whereby any different tribes, when they are in a scarce environment like Britain, they will compete. They will compete for territory, resources, politically, in all realms, okay? And this is human nature. And
it shouldn't be because of race.
My basis.
It shouldn't be because of race.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. Look at the reality. Just look around you, mate. Different tribes exist, and I'm not imparting any negative or malicious intent on them, but I simply acknowledge that in this scarce environment, different tribes will compete. And so in order to avoid conflict from all parties, it's best for them to have their own homelands, where instead of competing with other tribes, they're living in societies which reflect themselves.
Okay, it's impossible. It's impossible to do this
because we've had it for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's only stopped for the last 40 years.
Okay, it's because we began to travel. It's impossible to isolate yourself. There's villages, even villages that have never been. Hold on. Before you go,
okay, go ahead.
There's even villages that have only just been discovered. Sorry, not villages, tribes that haven't been found by any other human being. Right, that have only just started to be in contact. There's many tribes that are still that haven't been in contact with the first world. So we are traveling and we're meeting other tribes. It's impossible to say you stay there and we stay there because we're going to keep moving.
You can say
and
it's impossible, but I really do believe in the way of nature and that there's an order within nature. And it's correct. You can kind of bypass that by going on a plane a couple of hours to a different continent. That is possible, but I believe that when that happens in large numbers, it's inevitably going to cause conflict, and that the conflict would be avoided if they had, instead of everyone coming to Europe, I would be perfectly happy with us spending a lot of civilizations for these people that just reflected them, and then I think that they would be happy and not have.
I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
I don't want to hurt these people.
But you do know it's very hard to do, and it's probably I would say it's impossible.
Because that's what we've had. We've only for the last 40 years have these traitorous politicians allowed this to happen. So government policy has got us to where we are. So government policy can return us to where we were, and it doesn't have to be violent. I mean, this is what's probably going to happen at some point in the future. Okay, the white people are going to say, all right, this is our country now. We've all decided that, yeah, and then it will kind of be up to the rest of the people whether they want to resist and make it violent or whether they want to accept the way of nature and return to their homeland.
Okay, I think the problem is there's so much other problems going on in politics and in the world at the moment that race is. Hold on. Race is such a minute issue. So to make this scenario that we're gonna go back to our homeland and this epic adventure, it's so unlikely because it's not to the point now where the only way that can happen is if there was mass killings in first world countries of blacks and whites and Asians. but everyone's
You know,
seeming
I was
to
talking
everyone.
about anxiety, all right? I look to South Africa and I look at like the way some of the videos and how they're treated there, and it does also, it boosts the anxiety I feel like when I walk around London and you see those exact. It just makes me fearful of in the
What about the
future because
videos in 1999 of my people getting shot by going
I
outside?
do believe,
It's the
I
same
don't like
anxiety,
that, but
right?
I believe that it's this exactly. But the only reason
But
this has
but
happened
my
is because
question,
we
Kay, is
share a country. We
but
shouldn't
Kay,
be
where was
sharing
the
this country.
sympathy? But Kay, where was the sympathy then? But now sympathy is
Look,
demanded.
the reason, but the thing is though, I acknowledge that there will be conflict. There will be conflict. I acknowledge that because I believe in nature. And so when you talk about black people getting shot by police, I don't like it, but you know, I almost acknowledge that it's inevitable when it's like part and parcel of multiculturalism. You know, look at a country like a human body. All right, when any foreign elements come into a human body, you have white blood cells that kind of suppress them. So it's inevitable, right? Racism is like the white blood cells of any country.
But the problem with racism, I'm fighting for the argument that race is a social construct, because there's many times where multiculturalism has
Okay, but
worked. There's many times it has worked.
marriage is a social construct. I mean, loads of things
No,
are
no, no.
social.
But it's individuals who feel they're attacked and invaded on a large scale when it's not even a big issue. They feel the anxiety and they make it a big issue. They're making it to such a big deal. That's the problem. I'm trying to explain to you that it's such a small deal that your feelings and
Listen,
your
all I'm
anxiety.
hearing though is I think that people. I don't want to say people like you because that sounds rude, but people who share your mindset. It all comes across as they just want access to white people.
I don't care I don't care to have anybody. I just
But
want to
that's what it comes
listen.
across as because the entire result of everything you say will lead to fewer white people and more people of color in our countries. And I just
How?
can't.
Explain.
Migration, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? Everyone's moving here. We aren't moving there. Our birth rate is incredibly low, whilst their birth rate is incredibly high.
So start
We're a
having sex
global,
then.
no, we're a global minority. All right. The African population by 2050 will be about 4 billion, and they're all going to go to Europe. It's like what's happening. If you think we've seen mass migration now, just imagine an Africa that's 4 billion people and completely wrecked by poverty and drought. Look, I'm the thing. The arrow is pointing that in probably the next 100 years, Europeans will either survive or by standing up for our own selves, or will just die out. Okay,
It's
and
a
I want my own
consequence of
people to
of the
survive.
British Empire.
No, but
It's
the thing is,
you have to
you can
admit it
say
though.
anything.
You
That's
have
my
to admit it,
baseline.
okay?
I'm trying to not die out. All right.
Okay.
If you're
I
speaking to
won't let
someone.
you die out, okay? I won't let you die out. You're a human being. But you have to acknowledge, just like how for example, even within my own civilization as a Negroid, there's many tribes in Africa that have killed each other and have had to face consequences for that.
Sure, it's like that in
You have to
Europe.
own what you've done, just like I have to own what my ancestors have done. What they have done has
It's
left
true.
us in. So let me give you an example. They
Yeah,
say
but
that global
colonization
warming.
wasn't a bad
Oh my
thing. I mean,
gosh!
it was
Hold on, Terrence.
disastrous for us.
Come on,
Terrence,
let this guy finish. Let this guy finish.
Terrence, me and Kev have been going on for a good time now. Just stay out of it. So when you look at when you look at global warming, they say that they always bring this speech that the consequences of the way you treat the environment will affect your offspring, will affect the next generation. It's true. The same thing what happened with colonization, or the same thing what happened with tribal warfare. Okay, we're facing the
True.
consequences of
I
their
know, but
mistakes. So you can't complain at the people that are
I
coming
think
in.
that all you're saying is a point in my favor where different tribes, whatever tribes, religious, whatever tribes, even tribes
It's
that
because
are
of
both
sin.
incredibly closely related, they will compete. But
It's because
you're
of
just going to
sin.
add to that, though. If you bring in all these other tribes, it's
Listen.
going to add to the fire keg. It's not going to solve any problem.
Okay, it's because of sin. It's because of iniquity. We all have a built-in nature
Okay,
for
look,
evil.
I would rather
Black
live
people
in.
aren't perfect. No one is
Look,
perfect.
so you were saying that different tribes in Europe and Africa both fight with each other. I mean, that's true. That's
The French, yeah, everybody.
yeah. But I don't see that as a reason why we should have to accept mass migration as all.
Okay, if that's the case, the motherlands people should stay in the people that came from the motherland should stay there. Get all the French out of Britain right now. Get all the Spanish.
I just don't understand why that is a point in favor of mass immigration. I don't see how it has anything to do with it.
Because the motherland, the whole argument about going back to your motherland, it's so it's almost a fairy tale because there is no such thing.
You see what the Jews did, all right?
Hold on.
After you finish, then go on.
There is no such thing as a motherland because no one can state which one singular point in the whole of the continent humanity came from. So to say go back to your motherland, which generation are you referring to? Are you referring to my generation who came here, or are you referring to the generation before them that went to that land? It's a complex.
Look,
it's a complex
I understand.
situation.
Yeah, it's a bad situation which everyone's in. But if you look at, I'm not a massive fan of Jews, but you look at in the 1900s, okay. The Jews had an idea where they wanted to create a homeland in the Middle East for Jews, so that
in
they could survive.
1940s, they went
and they managed to do it. Okay.
Yes.
The way in which they did it was very questionable.
Killing
you know, yeah. But what I'm saying is, if you had a country that was dedicated to your own people's interests and that was dedicated to building a society which reflected them and spirit and was good for their soul, like that's what my ideal is. Like, I don't want these people.
Listen, I understand what you're saying, and I respect that you want the best for other people and for your own people. I can respect, after listening to you now, I respect you more. But that's not going to change the fact, and this is maybe the separation in our beliefs. I believe that there's one race. So when you bring up the idea of separation,
what I hear by that is we want access to white people, because that's the end result of it. The end result of you saying we're all one race, we should all mix together. The end result of that is there will be eventually white people will die out. And
listen, black people could die out because the world will be full of mixed.
Because African genes are very dominant.
No. The world will just be full of mixed race people. That's just what's going to happen, because we're not going to stay here.
I don't want that either. Why do you want that for your own people? Or I just want my own people to survive.
Oh my gosh. Okay, can I ask you a question? If you had a child with a colored person, it doesn't have to be a black person.
I understand the process that it.
Listen, no, hold on. That's not where I'm going.
Okay.
That's not where I was going. If you have a child with a colored person, is that your own? Is that child your own? Yes or no?
I've got to quickly respond to this, because it would carry 50% of my DNA. But if I were to have a child with a white person, it would have more than 50% of my DNA.
Leading to difficulties biologically.
No. It would just not inbreeding. I'm not talking about inbreeding. I'm just talking about white people like me. If I were to produce offspring with another white person, I'm more closely related to that white person. So that child is going to be more genetically similar to me than if I were to have a child with an African person. Do you understand?
But come to think about it, wouldn't it be better to mix from people from other nations?
Because you're actually making my DNA.
But you're making the gene pool more fertile, making it more fruitful.
You're eliminating. But all right, why would you want to eliminate all the races of
You'll be eliminating me as well. We're making a new race. We're building
why
civilization.
Do you want to do that? Why do you want to eliminate all these diverse races with their own own cultures? Like, I don't want to do that. I want to preserve my own people.
Bro. The reason why the Caucasian came, do you know that the Caucasians came from the Asians?
I don't know that. I mean, you can tell me that.
That's why it's Caucasian, or
and that's why Negroid. They come from like the Negroes.
So when you're saying we don't want to mix, we want to keep our own DNA pure, or not pure. Sorry, that's not a good word. We want to have our own diversity. The problem with that is you're a consequence of a mix. You're also a consequence of a mix. So should you not be there?
Is my mic working?
Yeah.
Hey, yo, all right. Hey, Zulu, hold the shit down. Hold the shit down. I'm saying, if anybody wants to get in or whatever, you send them the link.
Where are you going?
Join this shit, huh?
You going?
Now look, listen, this shit gonna keep running, bro. That's
what
this is
the hangout stops at 7 hours. It comes out at 7 hours.
I listen, and then I started back up. You know what I'm saying? I already did a 6 hour one.
Were you listening to this conversation?
I already did a 6 hour one. This is a new one.
Hey,
right? So this is a hangout, bro.
Were you listening to this conversation?
Yeah, I've been listening the whole time. What I'm saying is, so y'all can send the link out, whatever. Just don't be doing no
Yeah, I
bullshit,
sent the
sniping
link
and
out to
kicking people
the
out and shit.
Nubians chat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but you see, okay, when
Hit
there's
up
less people,
Ezra.
we actually have a 1-to-1. I'm saying, man, we did
Yeah.
kind of build a bit, and I agree. I ended up
I
agreeing with
am
you at the
kind of
end to an
tribal.
extent.
I do have to admit, I've kind of trained myself to be a bit tribal, but that's with any situation, really.
And you see how I almost agree. I kind of agreed with you to an extent
Yeah,
at the
I
end of the
don't disagree
conversation.
with it. I don't really even disagree with Muslims. Like, I understand where everyone's coming from, but you just have to look at it from the perspective of nature and
Okay,
what's likely to.
so
Hey,
based
go
on our
ahead.
conversation on the present day and the past, now let's talk about the future. What is the solution? Let's discuss now. What
Well,
is the solution?
well, the solution would be for all of the non-whites in Europe to return to their homelands, and that I believe that would result in as little conflict as possible.
Would
For
you
the future.
agree that the work rate would go down, and would you agree that they would lose a lot of money from doing that?
Maybe it could be, but it's a small price to pay for the fact that we won't die out.
So would you not say that because the production's up and because it helps the economy,
Well,
that it's
I
actually
don't believe. I think we'll survive anyway. You know, we us white Europeans, we've been through some hard times, man. Like the Black Plague, these world wars. We can survive. This is just like another test, okay? But this is a fucking big test for our very survival. That's the way I believe. That's what I believe. Okay, that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, but I understand that you have a good idea of self-preservation, which I also, to an extent, have. But from the government's perspective, which is to make the country economically fruitful, they're in their priority. Their
I don't believe
priority
in the
is
economy, all right? Because I don't believe that money should ever come before human well-being. That would be like
unfortunately that's
capitalism.
the world that we live in. So your
That's
solution.
the capitalism, though. I'm not a massive capitalist, so in my solution, we wouldn't have this
Capitalism is the best way. It's the best way,
Sure,
bro.
but, well, in my ideal world, we'd have a different economic system that put people's well-being at the center of the moral philosophy, instead of money and profit.
Bro, capitalism is not only something that's embedded in humanity; it's a tribal thing as well. Because
Yeah.
even in a tribe, you have a chief, you have a high elder,
Look,
you have roles. Everyone has a
I'm
role.
not going to pretend to be like an expert on the economy, man. That's just not my area of expertise. Mate, just call me young and naive, but I'm just can't really speak to that, to be honest.
Bro, what do you think is going to happen if no one cleans the floor or no one takes the garbage out?
I think that's quite disingenuous because we've only been having immigration for about 40, 50 years. And before then, we were all white and there was no one was saying, oh, who's going to clean the floors? They did this market. If no one wants to be a cleaner, well, then the wages for being a cleaner will go up and more people will want to be a cleaner. And they could be teenagers' first jobs. All these people working behind the till at Tesco's. No. They could be teenagers' first jobs. You know, we can survive on our own. We don't need these people. I'm sorry to say it. We can survive on our own just fine.
But on the contrary, because as past examples with the Windrush, you're going to need other people to come and do the work for you, and it's evidently shown.
I really don't believe that.
So why were the Caribbeans brought over? And I'm not Caribbean, and I have my own problems.
Listen, I've got no idea. I'm just not convinced that unless we had these like 100 or 200 African Caribbeans, we would have not survived.
200, more than that, man. More than
however
that, my
many
friend.
it was, okay. I just don't agree that we needed them, or if we didn't have them, we would have just not been able to survive. I just don't see it. And even if that was the case, I would respect them enough. I wouldn't want to steal all these workers away from Africa so that they can be left to be damned to poverty. Look at Africa. Africa is in a lot more need of help than Europe, clearly. If you were going to start stealing all these African doctors and these African cleaners, well, they can be served humanity better in Africa with their own people.
But Africa is in a damaged state right now as a consequence of the Belgium Nicaea.
I don't even legal migration where they can be integrated and it's perfect and they do the jobs. I don't think
what's going on.
Yeah, I don't think that's desirable.
Okay, but then now you're going against the whole system. The whole system.
Yeah, I am against the whole system. I'm not against other races. I'm against this liberal system.
It's not a
The
liberal
traitorous
idea though. It's
politicians.
actually the right.
The people I hate are the politicians that let it happen.
Brother, the West welcomed immigrants at a time, and
It
now
wasn't the
that
West.
there's
Okay, no. White people don't need for immigration. All right, every single chance white people get around the world to limit immigration, whether that be Trump, Brexit, what's happening in Italy and Austria, they vote for it. Okay, no, white people don't want mass immigration.
Now you see, you mentioned Trump.
Even
This
now,
is 2018.
look at Brexit. Look at
No, this is 2018. Do you know why they're doing that now?
In 2000, they want to get enough non-white people so that the will of the Europeans doesn't matter anymore.
No. Do you know why now they are focusing more on immigration? Is because the ones that they allowed in started to grow, and they didn't think that they would grow to an amount that they are today. So this is why they've resulted to now. Pardon?
You have to go home. Sorry. When the Great Awakening comes, like you
here we go. Oh, there's going to be a guerrilla. There's going to be a guerrilla group, the White Squad. We're going to kill all the Negroes, get them out of here. Oh my God!
What's probably
ironically, yeah, you'd never be treated like the way you treat us.
My greatest fear,
What are you saying? Me? I've never killed anybody. Why do you think? Why do you think I'm with those South Africans killing them? I don't respect what they're doing. If I see one of them doing that, I would stop them. I'm a Christian. Listen, Terrence, you know my moral values. I'm a Christian.
Christians don't kill. Christians are the biggest fucking killers going.
I'm a Seventh-day Adventist.
Everyone, you massacred the pagans.
Listen, Terrence, if you were in trouble, I would help you. If you were in trouble, I would help you.
All right then.
I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're white. I would help you.
Just go home then.
I would see you as I see you as a fellow human being. But the problem is you have the idea that we're separate and different, and this is why
you and all your little cronies on here literally hate and envy white people. Period.
I am not them. I don't know what they. I am not them, Terrence.
I've heard you. I've heard you.
A lot of the time, a lot of the time, I think these people hate us. They hate us for slavery and colonization, obviously, but they hate us more for the fact that we're successful.
No,
and we create all these technologies.
On the contrary,
not you, not you, but like
exactly my point.
So
humanity is successful. It's not one single person. Everyone is successful.
Yeah. You view that as humanity, but in reality, the reality of the situation is the most accurate way to describe the different races would be as subspecies, and in nature. Even different subspecies, they tend to prefer their own because all humans or animals prefer other organisms that have the most similar DNA to themselves. Yeah. For white people, that's white people. For black people, that's black people.
Okay, so if you had a white lion and a normal sub-Saharan lion and you put them together from birth, do you think they're going to care that one is white and one is not white?
They will prefer the animal with the most similar DNA to themselves.
How do you know that?
Other choice. Because DNA exists to replicate itself.
No, because they were separated. This is part of the natural selection.
If they had no other option,
Tian, why are you black?
Well, if they had the freedom,
why are you
a Negro?
Because your mum and dad
I'm a Negro.
To be with their own.
No, because I'm a Negro.
Like we're the living proof our ancestors stayed with Europeans. It's just
no. On the contrary, my friend. The reason why I'm a Negroid is because my ancestors stayed in a certain condition or a certain environment, and only have just evacuated from that environment under some reasons that we don't need to talk about. So I stayed the way I looked because I haven't had time to evolve, to de-evolve.
You and your family look and are the way you are because of an unbroken chain of over 40,000 years of your own people sticking together, breeding amongst their own people. But why would you want to move to a world where that could be wiped out and we would all be?
That's not the case, Kay, because these subgroups are so complex. Even with Africa, do you know how ethnically diverse Africa is? Do you know, if I was to make
ethnically diverse,
exactly. So my small Zulu, hold on, my brother. So my small Zulu tribe, is an insignificant piece out of the whole genome, because my small Zulu tribe has mixed with the Khoisan, the native people of South Africa. They've also mixed with the West Africans. So I'm not even a pure breed of anything. I'm a mixture.
The thing is, you're correct, but I need to respond. This is how I'm going to respond to this, though. Yes, it's true. Within the races, the African or black race has the most genetic diversity. and I think the European has the least amount of genetic diversity. But you're still more closely related to any African than any European.
Okay, so are you more closely related to us than a Native American? Yes or no?
I'm more closely related to white people than I am to non-white people.
No, I said, are you most closely related to us than a Native American?
It would probably be more. That's a very difficult question to answer. I'm not related to either of you because we evolved in vastly different environments on the planet.
Listen, you're acting like black people or colored people only just ended up in Europe a few hundred years ago. Do you not know anything about the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire? We're going around all over the place as Ethiopians, we're going all over the whole freaking.
That's a complete.
We're trading. We were trading with each other. We're giving each other daughters to marry.
Whether you're right or wrong, let's look at the end result of all that. Okay, do groups exist broadly? Is there the white?
It's a social construct. Simple.
Whether it is or it isn't, it's still just as legitimate if everyone agrees upon it. Okay. But there are groups in this world. You've got the African group, the European group, and you can break that down.
Who made these groups, friend? Who made them?
You can break them down to small. We did. People did.
No,
right?
No.
Nature did.
I didn't. You didn't. I didn't.
Nature. Right. Look, nature dictated that the Africans evolved in Africa. Nature dictated that Europeans evolved in Europe, and so that you can class these two as separate groups, okay? Because they evolved separately. So, and all animals, as we know, all animals adapt to the environments in which they're in. So, if Europeans adapted to Europe and Africans adapted to Africa, I don't see why there's any need to start bringing in massive amounts of Africans to Europe. I only see that as a recipe.
You're looking at it from a modern day paradigm where now everyone is separated. No. You're looking at it from a modern day paradigm, how now everyone is in the separate ethnic groups. But the reason why I keep going back, and I know you don't like this, because at one point, which is not even too far long ago, interracial marriage was a common thing, even in the Roman Empire.
What you call interracial is really just whites marrying with other whites.
No, interracial marriage is simply someone of a darker skin tone marrying someone with a lighter skin tone.
People talk about how there was all these waves of immigrants from like the Vikings or the Romans or the Anglo-Saxons, but these people, if you line them all up, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them because they were.
I'm not talking about whites marrying whites. I'm talking about colored people that look probably darker or like me marrying Romans.
I don't believe that Africans ever lived in Northern or Western Europe.
I'm gonna love talking to you, bro. You know what, bro? I'm gonna send you love sources today.
Like these guys, for some reason,
even if what you're saying is true, I would still think that their homeland is in Africa. I would still think that it would be better. Like it wouldn't change anything, if you know what I mean. Like we're in the reality that we're in. I'm not gonna simply just let my own people die out. You do.
Are you familiar with a man called Alexander the Great?
Heard the name.
You heard the name.
The Roman leader, yeah.
You don't know that not only was he a conqueror, but he also promoted interbreeding with the people that he conquered.
Well, that may or may not be true. I mean,
no, it is true. I can show you accounts.
You know, was you there?
That's what the Spanish did.
There's documents of him commanding his soldiers to rape and marry the natives.
That's true. But rape during war is not. You can't really compare that to everyday life, can you? Because if the Spanish went over to Latin America and then they raped all the women, well, not rape, but like bred with the women, and that created the Hispanic race or Hispanic people. But that's a very unnatural thing to have happened.
So thank you that you brought that point. So based on your point of people should stay to their own ethnic group, which I would agree with if it was possible, it's not possible. The Hispanics then, where did the Hispanics... So my question to you is...
Look around
so hold on. My question is, where did the Hispanics go? Since you've just admitted, which is historically true...
Why do you think people want to mix? You talk about mixing.
No, please answer my question.
Okay, what was your question?
Where did the Hispanics go? Because they're obviously a mix of the...
They stayed in Mexico. They stayed in Mexico.
No, where do they go? If we move forward with your solution of people staying to their homelands, because they're a result of breeding. No. How? But they've got DNA,
It's
Latin
only a
DNA.
very small. There's only a very small percentage of European DNA within the
On the
population of
contrary,
Mexico.
do you know how many Mexicans and
doesn't matter.
Latinos could damn
Look,
near pass for a European?
Not very. There are some, but not very many. And those people will probably have more European DNA than any other DNA. But anyway, what was I saying? Do you remember what I was about to say before I answered your question?
I said that I would like your solution, but it's not possible. And you said it's already happening or something like that.
TN, but think about it though.
I remember it.
Go on.
Why do you think people want? You talk about when people come together. You assume that they will just mix. But I walk around London and I see the Muslim area, I see the Jamaican area, I see Chinatown, and I don't see people mixing. You see what I mean? Because
there's no Jamaican area. Let's be honest.
White or Brixton, not Brixton, like
come on, bro. Listen, the only areas are Chinatown and the Muslim areas.
No, I've been to.
Let's be real.
I've been to Somalian areas. My point is, even these minority groups prefer their own. Like Muslims. I don't believe that the Jamaican community wants to mix with the white community because the Jamaican community have their own culture and their own people who they want to preserve. So this idea of mixing, that only less than 2% of all marriages are interrace. Yet for the amount of time that different races have been in Britain, that they should be much higher. If what you're saying is that people are just going to mix.
Well, like you said, most of it is cultural. Okay, it's cultural.
It's nature. People prefer.
It's not okay. Come on, okay.
No, it is though. Look at ant colony. Humans are bound to the laws of nature, whether you like it or not.
I agree, but that's like I told you. That's a social construct. Let me explain. And this might sound weird, right? In some families, right, they are told don't mix with that person because of this, and this, and this. He's a thief, or he's a sneaky Asian, or he's a this. Don't mix. I don't know if your family has told you this before, but I've heard this from other people.
Mine hasn't, but it would be good if all families did that.
No, it wouldn't be good because you're putting a separation anxiety in a young child who does not even know the difference between a black and a white. All they see is a different skin tone. Okay. But racism is an engineered mechanism. It's a social construct that is built in from the environmental awareness. So when you say it's innate law of nature, it's clearly not. Because if a child, for example, was raised in a country that was not racist and they had no idea of separation anxiety, they would work perfectly fine. But because it's been built into us, and it's become nature to an extent.
Right. Here's another angle, which I think proves or adds to my point. Okay, mixed race people. We've got the statistics on mixed race people, and they're much disproportionately represented in depression, drug and alcohol abuse, and a whole host of negative things.
How do you how do you quantify that?
Look, my point is though, the tragedy. I don't believe that it's good. I think it's cruel to the mixed race child to basically make it so that they can't identify with any of their ancestors because they don't look like either their mother's ancestors or either their father's ancestors.
Where are these polls that show that most mixed race people are?
I don't have them to hand, but forget that. But just think about this. Why would you want a child to not be able to identify with any of his ancestors because he doesn't look like any of his ancestors? What usually happens is, though, that they have an identity crisis and then they go off the rails. That's what happens a lot of the time.
I'm going to give you a perfect example of how that's not historical. Okay, when you go to Egypt, it's a mixed race population, right? You got Syrians in there, you got Nubians in there, you got Egyptians in there, you got people spilling in from the Levant, but they all just identify themselves as Egyptian, not based off look. Just this is what
but that region it used to be a lot more. People used to look a lot more whiter 2,000 years ago in that region.
Well, what I'm saying is the how they looked was not the relevancy. The relevancy was you're an Egyptian. It was just a national.
Right,
so
I don't believe that's true because at the end of the day, the blood that runs through your veins, is, in my opinion, is far more important than any passport or any flag. Like if I was born 6'2", blue eyes, and my current skeletal structure, that wouldn't make me a Japanese person.
Watch this. I'll give you even a better example. Jews. You have black Jews.
Jews are kind of a separate thing.
You got Arab Jews. You got European Jews. You got Indian Jews. But if
they're a diaspora.
Yeah. So if an Indian Jew who looks Indian comes to an Ashkenazi and they're a Jew, then they're just like, okay, you're a Jew.
Sure, but they'd be more. Yeah, but they're still more genetically similar to Indians than European Ashkenazi Jews.
Or even, I'm just saying, a person from Germany and a person from Mumbai look nothing alike.
Yeah.
Nothing alike. Okay, so if that dude from Mumbai goes to the German guys, hey, I'm a Jew, and he's like, oh, okay, I'm a Jew too, then they're just Jews. They're not like, hey, but you're Indian.
Sure.
You know, so what I'm saying is that
Jews are kind of a separate one-off thing, though.
Matter of fact,
I do agree with you.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, what Zulu's saying is this is a recent phenomenon as far as basing something off looks.
I don't believe it is a recent phenomenon. I believe that all these people were aware of like the stuff that we're talking about, but they just didn't put it in the same language. Like people used to say that the Irish weren't white, or the Italians weren't white. But that's clearly a myth, because if you line up an Italian, an Irish person, and any other white person, you can see with your own eyes that they're all white and that Africans are black.
Look, I put it like this.
So all you need are your eyes, man.
No, here's the thing. Tribalism has always existed, right? We've always had a gang-banging-ish kind of mentality as human. But it's not until maybe 600, 800 years ago where we started gang-banging based off looks. That's new, you know. Prior to, we used to be
that's not true.
Well, here's the thing. Prior to, we used to be prejudiced as far as nationality, you know. Like, if I didn't like a Greek, it wasn't because he was white.
But even in, like, when the first ever, like, when the Constitution of the United States was written, the immigration policy said, and this is a quote, "Free white men of good moral character." So even in like the 1700s, they were aware that white people were.
Yeah, I'm saying this phenomenon is roughly, I'll say, maybe 1,000 years old at the most. Starting in the with this one guy, I forget his name, but he's the first one that started this thing where, you know, hey, let's.
But who's to say it wasn't real all along, and he was just the first to document?
Because we don't notice. We don't have any written record of people.
Because in this era of enlightenment and increased information, we can actually see and we can prove that this stuff is real. So just because they didn't have the technology to calculate it all doesn't mean that it wasn't real.
It's not even a technology thing. I mean, it's really low tech. If you're just saying, hey, I look different from you.
Yeah, so you don't even need technology.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
it's not a
technological. Need are your eyes, and you can just see with your
eyes. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, since it's not a technological thing, we can't say, hey, they didn't have technology, that's why they didn't do it. It's just for them, their perspective was, it's almost like this. I notice people with big ears, you know, but I don't make a race out of big eared people, right? Yeah. Like, they've had, so when they look at skin color and stuff like that,
race is much more than skin color, though. Race is much deeper.
I get that, but what I'm saying is, when they look, like when a white person looked at a black person back then, it's like looking at somebody with big ears. Or if you're looking at somebody with small hands, right?
I actually think they actually didn't even think they were human. Like, imagine.
No,
it's true.
Okay, watch this. I'll do you one better. Herodotus, right? Herodotus said the most beautiful. Herodotus.
Listen, white children. But I can prove. Let me just finish this before you go on off that. White children, when they see black people, like they call. I know it's maybe offensive, but like. I've seen it with my own eyes many times. Okay. They call them monkeys.
Okay, so look, let me tell you something, and we go to the history. Herodotus, okay? This is a Greek historian, 500 BC. He said the most beautiful people, not animals, people in the world are in Ethiopia.
Exactly what I told him.
That's Herodotus.
So,
So
that doesn't discount the existence of race, though.
No,
race is a social construct. That is a phenomenon to this
it's
generation.
It's not a social construct, but even if it was, it wouldn't make it any less legitimate.
Kay, you just hold on one quick thing. Kay, you just admitted that the Irish and the Italian weren't considered white. This isn't because of race.
No, they were considered white. That's a myth, is what I'm saying.
No. It's because of nationality. Italian or a Sicilian had certain stereotypes because of their nationality. And Irish had certain stereotypes because of their nationality. But they were all white-skinned. But they were separated because of their nationality.
It's possible to exclude people from your country based on something other than racism, okay?
No, racism is such a minute issue.
Yeah, but they were of a different religion. They were
so hold on. Let me disambiguate this right quick. Okay, so is there a difference between me and a Chinese person and a European person and an Indian person? Yes, there's obviously physical differences between us. We're not blind to that. The issue is we didn't start creating social groups based off such things till recently. Like, for instance, I have different color eyes from people with green eyes and blue eyes and all that. But if one day all of a sudden, hey, we're going to start making races off of eye color, and we're going to categorize and say the green-eyed people are better than this people. See, that would be something new. So yes, people acknowledge the differences.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but all of these things which you're bringing up, I believe, are symptoms of the broader thing, which is that different races exist, and that one race, they have different traits like in eye color, hair color, skeletal structure. You can notice these differences. But the reason for these differences is because they evolved in different locations on the planet. Go ahead.
Here's also very problem. What is a pure white person and a pure black person? There's nobody pure anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't even care about purity. But all it is, I know
if you're
that white people. No. All right. Here's the thing. We know that white people exist. We know that black people exist. So why we look? So why?
Because if we're going to get scientific with it, we got to go down to the DNA level.
We don't though. We don't need to get scientific with this. Well, we just need to. If I no. If I were to go to Africa, if I went to Africa, what do you think the Africans would see me as? They would see me as a white person. So that's, and I would see them as a black person. So that's all it is. There's no need to.
Because the mindset has been engineered in the modern day paradigm.
No,
this is why. If you were in the Greek period, you would see him as an Ethiopian. His nationality.
Look, if I grew up isolated and an African.
Wait a minute, we also have to deal with this. Do you know there are bigger genetic differences between Africans and other Africans than there are some Africans and Europeans?
No.
So there are bigger differences. It is very true. Africa is the most genetically diverse continent
that is true.
in the planet.
Yes,
and there's
within the African race, there is the most.
Okay, so watch this. I'll give you an example.
I'll give you an example. No, but you're wrong though, because even any African is more closely related to any African than any European.
It's not true because
I'm afraid it is.
Europeans started off African. And some of the people and some of their ancestors stayed behind.
That's a theory. That's one theory.
You don't believe the out of Africa?
Science is on the fence about that one.
Yeah, but even if that is true, all right, look,
that's the most widely accepted theory. There's no.
It's a theory, though. It's still a theory.
I'll grant you that.
So why don't you treat the Big Bang that way? Oh, it's still a theory. Or evolution. Why are you so? Yeah.
Even if what you're saying is true,
no one knows where we go.
Right.
So then no one knows if the Big Bang is true or evolution is true then, based on that.
Until we find... Look.
Alvin, how did the Africans get to Africa then? They were just there, right?
In Ethiopia.
So they were just there all along?
Mm-hmm.
They were Hamites.
I mean, if you want to go with the evolution...
But no one ever brought...
The world began in ancient Mesopotamia, and we migrated from...
There were white people there, man.
Hold on.
No, there wasn't.
Look, whether you're right or
Japheth
wrong,
was black.
here's the thing, though. Europeans have been isolated in Europe
Japheth
for
was black.
over 40,000 years. Okay, we have become our own thing. We are different
White
from Africans.
DNA is a recessive gene. White skin only came
Correct.
about a few thousand years ago.
Correct,
Everyone,
but
most of the populace was
Hey,
colored.
Alvin,
I hope you go.
Shalom,
White
shalom,
woman.
shalom to the brother Alvin. I'm saying another one of our underground kings, one of our heavy hitters. You know what I'm saying?
That Amazel?
Yeah.
Right, Alvin.
Welcome to the Google UGK, Alvin.
Yo, can I respond to you, my friend?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, whether you're right or wrong about the thing is, though, Europeans have evolved in Europe, isolated in Europe for over 40,000 years, and we've evolved our own traits and our own adaptations to these lands, okay? And we are now different. We're a different subspecies to Africans, and so what I'm saying is, why can't we just have our own homeland in Europe, and they can have their own homeland in Africa?
You do. It's called Norway.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's
the thing
90% white.
Happening is that Africans are coming into our countries in very large numbers, and it's going to lead to our extinction. Yes, even Norway, and Sweden.
No, Norway's
yes,
90.
Yes,
I think they're like 97% white.
They're probably like 85.
No, they are 97.
No, I'm telling you, mate.
No.
Right, how white do you think Britain is?
Britain's actually real mixed right now.
Okay,
Britain's pretty mixed, but Norway, these Scandinavian countries.
The thing is, though, whether it's one small country, the trend is, though, that in about 100 years' time, if the current trends and birth rates continue, Europeans will no longer exist in Europe or America.
Europeans will exist. People that look like you probably won't.
Yes, white people will not exist.
But
correct.
Europeans will always exist as long as there's Europe.
You're never going to convince me. There is nothing that anyone can ever say that will convince me that I shouldn't preserve my own people. There's nothing that you or anyone.
Okay, here's the thing. When you say your people, what do you mean by that? If you, are you from Italy?
White people.
But see,
I'm half American, half British, so I've got kind of.
Okay, so if you want to say, hey, I want to preserve the British,
is who I want.
No. But if you want to preserve the British,
what's wrong with just people?
Because it's very a very vague and ambiguous thing. Like I told you.
Because
okay,
no,
now,
it's the least vague. We know that.
What this is what I'm going to say. This is the point I was trying to make earlier. When you look at Africans, okay. If I stand a Khoisan, a 5'3" Chinese-eyed, light-skinned Khoisan, next to a 6'8" dark-skinned, protruding mouth luau, that is a dramatic difference physically. They are dramatically different looking physically. To clump that in is just saying they're both black is inaccurate. Because it's actually more of a dramatic look than the luau and a white person when you compare them to a Khoisan. Very dramatic. So that's what I'm saying. This thing of just black and
they're
white.
all from the same continent, though.
No, but it's a dramatic physical difference.
Look,
I can tell.
When I see
matter of fact, I'll do you one even better. If I stand a Greek, a dark-haired, dark-eyed Greek next to a 6'7" Norwegian with blonde hair and blue eyes, that's a dramatic difference.
Sure, but there's still more.
They look dramatically.
But they're still more closely related. Well, even within Germany, you can have Germans with blue eyes and blonde hair, and Germans with brown eyes and black hair. But they're still.
But what I'm saying, you're doing your race. I'm saying you're doing.
You're getting something confused, mate. I know that the African race, they all have black eyes, they all have dark skin, they all have short curly. The vast majority. Like in Europe, we've got this diversity.
North Africa?
No, well, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is, in Europe, we've got the diversity. We've got people with red, blonde, black, brown hair, but we've got green, blue, black.
So what about the Algerians?
Everything, mate. We don't like.
Okay, so what about?
Yeah, but the thing is, you're mixing up that. But even though all Europeans, even the Greek and the German, they're more closely related than the Greek is to an African or the German is to an African.
I'm gonna do this. There's a meeting point. if I stand an Algerian next to a Greek, there's going to be a little trouble trying to figure out who's who.
That's true, but that's only because. But you're talking about these outliers, like.
I'm talking about.
If you take away. No, look, man. If you just take away Greece, because Greece has a lot of Mediterranean and North African admixture. If you just take away Greece and Turkey, what you're left with is basically 100 is just white countries, and there's
So they don't count as white.
No, Greeks
Turkey
do count
doesn't,
as white,
but Greece is
Greeks
white.
They do, yeah. But they do have a lot of North African admixture. But
Okay,
that's only because they're Greeks.
Okay, and here's the irony, right? I hear people like you talk about this, and I hear black people talk about this, right? Where they say, "Hey, we just need our own black country," right? But I think the issue is there has to be something of realistic. Look, the world is very small right now.
Here's where it comes down to, though.
And people, it's just not going to stop.
Can I just say there's one thing? I don't think that the access to white people is a human right. Because that's what it comes down to. All these people want access to white people. It's not white people going there; it's them coming here. Wait a minute. You can laugh all you want, but it's true.
Why are all these white people moving to South? Okay, what are all these white people doing in South Africa?
They're leaving South Africa.
Why are all these Dutch? Why are they moving into there?
Because at the time, that land had nobody living there. And they thought it was well, you can laugh, but I'm talking about the real history of what happened.
Okay, so
the reason why there's white people in South Africa is because there was no one, literally zero people living in the land. So they just thought they could live there.
Okay, so there's some issues here. Okay, so the indigenous people
doesn't make them African. I know.
Okay, so the indigenous people over here in America. Yeah, they wanted to be with white people so bad, they gave up their land to say, white people, we want access to you.
We took it from them. Yeah,
Okay, so what do you mean this access to white people? Like,
look, what's happening right now? Right, look at the world right now. Mm-hmm. Where are people moving to? People
they're
moving to white countries.
No, what they're doing
moving to Europe and America.
Okay, watch this. They're not moving to white countries. They're moving to good countries. Who's moving to Bosnia?
Yes,
who's moving to Bosnia?
You can call it good.
Who's
you can call it good, bad. No,
Czechoslovakia.
Japan is a good country, better than many.
Okay, but what I'm saying is
they aren't moving there. No, they're moving to good countries. They're moving to white countries.
Okay, but what I'm saying is they're moving to country. They're not moving to just any white country. They're moving to economically good countries. You don't see people moving to Bosnia, Czechoslovakia. Who's moving to Ukraine?
No, all of Asia, all of East Asia is very wealthy and has an incredibly high and very good economy, but they are literally 100% Asian. There is no minorities there at all.
It's its location matters. You're all the way on the other end of the world.
That's true, but
you're all the way in the Far East.
Whether this scenario manifests itself in terms of good, economically prosperous countries, the reality is they're moving to white countries, and if they keep doing that,
you can't say it's because they're white people.
These countries will not even be prosperous.
Okay, so what I'm saying is you can't say the intention is because they just want to be around white people. The intention is because they're moving into a better country, not because they just, hey, I want to live next to white people. That's not
right. I never said that their intentions were malicious, but I'm saying the end result of what's going to happen is that white people will no longer exist. And I don't want that because I am a white person. And even seeing this, you can laugh about it, but this is what's going to happen.
So here's what I'm saying. White people have been on this planet for a long time. Will the numbers reduce? Yes. But you're never going to be completely wiped out.
Well,
you just won't be as dominant as it is now.
If I wear my emotions on my shoulders for you, I'm going to say my motivation in all this, all right? I grew up in London, okay? Now, London, white people are less than 40% of London. So I grew up as a minority in my own city. Okay. And I look at the news, I look at all these images of Africans and Middle Easterners flooding into countries. I look around, see it for myself. I look at South Africa. I see how white people are being killed there and treated badly, and it gives me anxiety. Okay, when I see these type of things, you can laugh about it, but so the thing is, I'm never gonna not. There's nothing you can ever say that will convince me that not to preserve my own people.
Look,
I would be a fool not to.
Okay, but I think the issue is, and that's fine. Listen, if you just want to generalize,
what I want to say is, can you sympathize from like where I'm coming from?
Listen, I can understand it. I just can't sympathize with it because it's like, because if the shoe is on the other foot, and the
exact same
if the shoe, no, I'm talking about as far as me. And let's say that black people are just disappearing and everybody's starting to look white. I'm like, after I die, I'm not going to see the results anyway.
But the thing is,
like,
I
I'm
don't
going to
care
be
about
gone.
after I die. It's my children. I want my children
but
to look like me.
Listen,
okay?
I
want a good world for my future generations.
Okay, so listen, I just feel it's rather superficial to worry about what somebody looks like.
But your people aren't threat of being extinct, all right? But
what I'm saying, I just told you on the other foot.
No, but
if somebody gave me a prophecy and said, Alvin,
I couldn't imagine, but I think that's just selfish then. Because
no, check this out. No, this I'm about to tell you.
All right,
if somebody told me, Alvin, your eighth generation descendant will look like Britney Spears, okay? The first question I would ask, will she be healthy? Will she have a long life? And will she be prosperous? If she gets all of those things, I don't care if she looks like Britney Spears.
Yeah,
as long as she's healthy
thing is, though,
and prosperous.
But here's another angle you have to look at. Look at it from the perspective of a white person. I understand from the perspective of an African, it's beneficial for Africans to be integrated into white society because then they get. No, you can laugh, but like that's
okay. Tell that to the slaves back in the day that it was great. I don't know if they was
no slaves in Europe. Okay, no slaves were brought to Europe. Okay,
okay,
I
not
don't
in
see
Europe.
any slaves.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
But what I'm saying is the best if you look at the average lifestyle of an African in Europe or America and you compare that to the average lifestyle of anywhere in Africa, it's far better. Okay, so they are
better countries. But if you go to Nigeria,
but why are they better?
But hold on, wait a minute.
What you want is access to these white.
Hold on, no.
Access to white people.
No. If you look at the developed African countries, if you go to Nairobi, if you go to Lagos, Nigeria, if you go to all these places, they're just like America. But what you're doing is hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Yes, they are. What you're doing is comparing people that are still living hunter-gatherer and pastoral lifestyles compared to people that's been westernized. Okay,
all right, but
you got to compare, because I'm not trying to live in rural. Hold on, I'm not trying to live in rural Romania. Who wants to live there with the cows and all of that stuff and farms? Right. So what I'm saying is, it's not just access to white people. It's developed cities.
Yeah, it's access to successful white
Nigeria
people.
is thriving.
Why don't all the Africans move to Nigeria or Lagos?
They are
Asia. No, they all move to Europe. Okay.
They move. Listen.
God.
They're moving, especially America. America is a mixed bag. Ask me what an American.
Here's the thing, though.
What does an American? I'm gonna ask you a question. What does an American look like?
America is a white country.
But it does not.
Okay,
America.
why do you have to differentiate between African and Asian Americans? If you say the word American, that is a white person. If you say the word,
I don't know what an American is.
Look, okay.
If you say American,
if you look at the Constitution and you look at the first ever immigration document, all the way up till 1965, do you know what it says? Free white men of good moral character.
Okay.
It was only after that's the American. It was only after. No, look, man. I understand you were on the continent and that you were enslaved on the continent. They didn't view you as Americans. Like, I'm sorry. Maybe today you can.
No, I'm not just talking about. Hold on.
The thing is, America was built and envisioned, and it reflects the European people. Like when I walk around New York. It reflects the buildings and everything reflects European.
What I'm talking about right now, we don't know what an American looks like.
Well,
right
do you
now.
not think that's a problem?
Not
This whole
no.
country
It's
doesn't even have
listen,
an identity?
listen.
I see
This
that as
is this is what an American is. If you have an American
but no
Social
one has
Security number
identity in the
and an
country.
American birth certificate, that's what an American is.
I do
You know?
actually agree with you. Like this
So
term America
I
doesn't
just
really
think,
mean
listen,
anything.
and you're entitled to your opinion, right? I can't tell you can't have your opinion. I'm just saying, to me, just basing everything off a look, I don't know. It just doesn't
Look,
seem that
do you
important to
not
me.
think, right? I actually do kind of agree with you with this America thing, but whether you can give them a passport that says America on it, or you can call, or they say the Pledge of Allegiance, whatever, the blood that's running through their veins, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And so, and it, you know, the people who built or envisioned, created America, they were all Europeans, and they even wrote it down themselves that they wanted their country to be for good white men, free white men of good moral character and their posterity. So the country of America, up until 1965, was always a white country. And then afterwards, after 1965, they opened the gates. But so maybe, yeah, perhaps you are correct that like anyone can call themselves an American, but it doesn't change their genetic makeup that they are who they are.
No, okay, so here we go. Those people aren't even Americans. They're Europeans. That's calling
Yeah,
them.
they're Europeans who
Well,
created
there's
a
no
country.
genetic.
Yeah, but
There
this
is
is
not
the
a
situation.
genetic. The only genetic Americans are the Native
True.
Americans.
This is what happened. Europeans went out of Europe and conquered and took a bit of land in
But
North
that
America
doesn't make
and
them
built a country.
genetic. But they're
What
not
we know,
genetically American, though.
But look, the entity of America on the world stage, right, or in any circumstance, that is in relation. That is an outpost of Europe. Okay.
Okay. So they are genetically European. They're not genetically American.
No, they're Europe. No, of course they aren't genetically indigenous
The
American.
only
They're European.
genetically
This is what I'm trying to
Americans
say.
are the Native
America
Americans.
But that's what I'm trying to say. America was meant to be a white country. Of course, it was on other people. It was on land which was, occupied by indigenous people. But the result, that nothing you can ever say is going to change the fact that Europeans went in, took a country, built it up and it is what it is. You can either choose to accept it or
I'm accepting. No, what I'm telling you is that's the history of America. I think and then you have what it is.
You don't think it's legitimate. Europeans
I didn't say that. Listen, I agree with you. Listen.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, though. Europeans en masse, wherever they may be, whether they're in America or Europe, they think that it's completely legitimate for America to exist. But non-white people, they don't. They see it like you, and whether they're
wait a minute. Who said that?
Look,
see it like me, like what?
Like most non-white people believe that the country of America isn't legitimate. It was just completely stolen land and hasn't.
I didn't say all of that.
Okay,
listen,
look,
I didn't
can I
say
just
any
finish
of
my
that.
point though?
But you gotta represent what I'm saying accurately. I didn't say all of that. I'm saying Europeans came over here and did what people have been doing for thousands of years. Coming over into different lands and taking it over.
I don't think it's fair for you to apply like today's morality to a situation that was hundreds of years ago. Because
I'm not doing that.
Right, but look, here's the thing: if you look at nature, and two ant colonies come into contact with each other, the stronger ant colony will kill the weaker ant colony. And
who said I didn't? I'm not. You're preaching to the choir right now.
But this is what happens in nature. But
so you're preaching to the choir.
Well, what do you expect is going to happen when Europeans, Africans, or Middle Easterners, or anyone do different tribes come into contact with each other? What do you expect is going to happen?
Okay, so listen, you're preaching to the choir. Okay, white people did what people have been doing for thousands of. Okay, so look, so people have invaded territories and taken over and set up shop. That's happened since the dawn of civilization. Okay, so what I'm telling you is, we have to deal with the reality now. Okay? So that's how it started. And then it evolved into what it is now. And now America is a mixed bag of
Not
everything.
really, though.
It's
You
a
can
mixed
say
bag.
that, but it's actually very
Look,
divided.
the white people.
That's not true.
Hold on.
America
Here's
is
the
very
thing.
divided.
No, what I'm talking about as far as the racial academics, white people are actually a minority compared to all the minorities combined. Like, if you combine all the blacks,
no, not yet. No,
yeah, no, it is
whites
there.
no,
When you
not yet.
combine the Asians, the blacks, the
Yes,
Mexicans, and all
whites
of those
are, no,
together,
here's the demographic.
they are now the minority.
No. Whites are 60% of America. By the year like 2040, then
Okay,
there'll be a minority.
you're correct. Okay, you're correct.
Yeah.
So,
but it's what you're saying is basically true. So yeah, go on.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So this is what it is now. Now, I mean, we could all want things, or we could be like, hey, or just accept what it is. Like,
but
the white town, like,
no.
here's the thing, bro. And I hate to, and you know what? And to be fair to you, there's a lot of black people that have the same rhetoric. Like, we just need a black world, right? So listen, we have to deal with the reality of things. There's never going to be a white town with just white people, a white country. It's never going to happen.
We've had that for hundreds and hundreds.
But it's not hundreds. It's not hundreds of years anymore. The world has changed.
Skeptical. Look, government
it's
policy
changed.
led to where we are. No, look, government policy led to where we are today. Government policy can reverse it. Simple.
But there's not a lot of people in the world that think like you anymore. That's the problem. See, hundreds of years ago, hundreds of years ago, there was plenty of people that think like you. There was millions of people that think like you. Now you are in a minority.
It's not possible.
It's not possible.
No, it is possible. If we can, do you know how much military strength that we actually have?
If
we wanted to, if we chose to do it, we could correct the situation overnight.
But here's the problem. You're in a minority of people that think like you. The majority of white people don't think like you anymore. No, it's not, man.
It is growing.
They do not think like you. You can't. Do you realistically think the United Nations will? Okay, this white person that wants to create this white world, this white town, which is white people.
I'm not talking about.
Okay, it's just that's what I'm saying. It's not going to get no approval from nobody. No, the United Nations is not going to do that.
All right. How did they get the approval to have the government policy that led to where we are today? That's created a mixed bag. Surely
because people want the mixed bag. No, there's multiple people that were fine with the mixed bag.
Hey, Alvin, the way that it was done in 1965, they passed a new immigration act called the Hart-Celler Act, and it said that anyone could come to America. Before that, it was
and that is a very inclusive thing. People like inclusivity.
But there wasn't a vote for it, and it was basically that the president at the time lied to the American people.
But what I'm saying is
but they said that it wouldn't change the demographic makeup of the country at the time. America was.
I understand that.
Can I quickly just finish 20 seconds?
Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
At the time, America was 90% white. And if you had let them voted, after that one piece of legislation, if you would let the American people vote, whether in 60 years they would vote to become a minority, they wouldn't have done that. So that was basically treasonous, in my opinion. They passed this legislation, which is going to result in the American people becoming a minority, the founding stock of America. Do you think America will be prosperous?
Okay, so look, let's go back to the reality of it all. Okay, whatever happened in the 60s happened. I'm talking about in today's world, not just minorities, white people in general do not think like you, at least in America.
Well, they act
the
like me
overwhelming majority. Now listen, now watch this. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me finish this. I'll let you talk. Let me finish this.
Go ahead.
Now, Hillary Clinton, who is a scumbag, right? I'm not really a Hillary supporter like that, right? So you had Hillary and you had Donald Trump, okay? Hillary won the popular vote by 3 million, okay? 2.8 million, okay? I'll round it to 3. So
that's true.
That's letting you know the world or America.
Yes, but the thing is, if you break it down, what actually happened is
I gotta finish.
No, you're wrong though.
I gotta be able to finish the point.
You're wrong though.
I said
voted. All right, go ahead.
Look. Okay, So the majority of the country, I'm not just talking about white people. The majority of the country leans left.
But it's not the majority of the country. The
It is
majority of white people voted
if she
Trump.
listen,
The
listen,
minorities voted for Hillary.
listen. If she wins by 3, hold on, it's factual. If she
you
wins
break it
by
down-
3 million, no, you're not listening to what I'm saying. You're reducing.
Break
Hey,
it down.
you're not listening to me. You're not
voted
listening
for
to
Trump?
me.
Who
I'm
voted
not
for Hillary
saying it's
and who-
just white people. Listen to me.
Okay,
I'm
fine.
saying the majority of the country. That includes white people, black people, everybody. The majority of people in this country leans left. Okay? And the
Hillary
majority
wasn't
of the people, listen, and the majority of these people in this country, matter of fact, all people in this country have equal rights. I can't see a world where we can create a white state and all of America is going to vote on a, yeah, that's the white people state. It's not happening.
Yeah, you are
It's
correct.
not happening.
All right. Well, if you look at, not that I'm a fan of Jews, but if you look at in the early 1900s, the Jews had this idea that they were going to create a country that was for the Jewish people and had their interests at the heart of the country. And then 100 years later, or 50 years later, they actually did it. So, you know, it's not impossible for these things to happen.
Hold on, wait.
But that's not even what I'm talking about. All I'm saying is, government policy led to where we are. Government policy can reverse it. As simple as that.
No, but here's the thing. The only way it can be reversed is if it has the support of the people. The people are not going to support that. Not even on a world scale. On a world scale, it's not happening. Listen, you have SJWs. Listen, the SJWs would have a fit in that. And listen,
all right, that's a 2015 meme.
Do not downplay.
That was like 10 paradigms ago, man.
Let me tell you something. The SJW is a larger group. That's a larger group.
That's a small group. No, the SJWs are.
I definitely would. There's more SJWs than people like you.